Blog Talk Radio.
Here we go with the main event of the evening. Ladies and gentlemen in attendance, boxing fans joining us around the world. It's time for the bout you've all been waiting for. Finally, it is showtime.
Here, man, we dedicate our life to this sport. We do thousands of sit-ups in camp. We run hundreds of miles, for the ones that take it serious. And we just dedicate ourselves fully to our craft, man. We watch tape. We have attitude. We're rooting, and we go into that fight to land on the line.
You know what? There we go. Sorry about that. I had it on mute. I'm not sure why. But anyway, we are back with the Rope-A-Dope Radio Podcast. Like I said, I started the show kind of weird. I had it on mute. I thought I just unmuted it. Boy, was I wrong. Anyway, how's everybody doing? It is a Tuesday night, which is a great night to talk boxing. Obviously, we had a huge, huge upset over the weekend. Not just upset, but a knockout upset to boot. Jeison Rosario beats Julian J-Rock Williams. And I was in shock. I got to admit, I know some people are out there saying, well, J-Rock's chinny and all that. Put your money on the fight then. If you really thought Rosario was going to win this fight, I saw it all over Twitter. And not all over. But, most people were pretty sane in it. But some people were like, didn't really shock me, didn't surprise. You can't win fights, you don't have a chin and stuff like that. It's like, okay, well, he did win some other fights. But anyway, it was a good fight. Very, very good fight. Could have been up for fight of the year had it gone a handful of more rounds. The way, I guess you could say the two-way action was picking up slowly but surely every round. But that's really hard to say if it would have kept going. Maybe J-Rock, if he would have made it to that round, would have switched up his style completely. So we're obviously going to lead with that for the recap. Like I said, Rosario over J-Rock. We'll talk a little bit about Chris Colbert as well. Did I say Colbert again? It's Colbert. Why do I keep saying Colbert like I'm watching the show or something? Colbert got a decent win, a good win. But the first half of the fight was pretty slow. He did turn it up. Both fighters turned it up minorly anyway in the second half. So that was on Fox and also on ESPN. Alvarez scored a big, big knockout over Seals. One punch, one hitter, quitter. And, the knockouts, there's a lot more knockouts than major upsets. So it's hard to say in January, if a knockout's going to stay for knockout of the year. It obviously wasn't in a bigger fight per se, so that that kind of takes it a notch down as far as winning it. It doesn't take a notch down for what it was, but you know what I mean. As far as the winning the knockout of the year, I think the upset of the year has a lot better chance of holding just because of how major of an upset it was. You saw some lines had it anywhere from like 9 to 12 to 1. Some folks had it 25 to 1, 30 to 1. And, I don't know. It's depending on how you look at this stuff. These websites that go 25 and 30 and 35 and 40 to 1 for these type of fights that probably should be more in the range of 5 to 1 to 10 to 1. They're trying to get people to bet. They really don't think Rosario's going to win, but why not make it 25 or 30 or 35 to entice some volume on the bet on that side, basically. But, man, whoever did put money down on that fight, kudos to you, especially if you got it 25 to 1. I looked at it and I thought, I don't think he's going to win. Obviously, now I look and go, But I saw it right around anywhere from 9-1 to 12-1. I think that Fox Bet, is that what it's called? That they have that stat that comes up on the broadcast. I think they had it 9-1, I believe. But anyway, so we're going to talk about the weekend. We're going to look towards this weekend, which is pretty ho-hum. I guess you could say, well, hey, how many people thought, Rosario was going to win? So maybe Santana and Redkach, have a chance. And, I guess that's fair, but I think it's more of a stylistically thing. Like, it'll be a fun to watch, but it's not really giving you much. By the way, that wasn't a beer. That was a Fruit Energy V8 drink. Not that you guys really care if I'm drinking beer, but I'm not a big fan of getting drunk and then doing a podcast. Just putting that out there. Now, in the back end of the podcast, if it's just callers and we're just talking boxing, have I put something in the air? What do you think? Anyway, so they're like I said, not a big weekend. Not a big weekend coming whatsoever. There are some really interesting fights coming next weekend. Very excited for that. But we do have a fair amount of news and notes. Even today, Oscar De La Hoya talking about how Charlo and others, but he really, because the Charlo was actually was brought up in an interview by multiple folks. And I do have a clip of what Oscar said pertaining to Charlo and Canelo. It did have something to do with last year in a deal. So some of it was vague. I usually will try to use quotes, or, if I can get the audio in time for the show, I usually like to use the audio too. So it's not just my words. It's actually the words. So he's kind of vague. You'll see what I mean by that. But he also said, he commented how these fighters are trying to just cash in. And that's it. They're overpricing themselves is basically what has been said. Also with Charlo, we'll talk about Eddie Hearn, and we know he's been making offers. We now know, potentially anyway, one of the ways he's been making them, and it sounds like it's Instagram, like he's in Charlo's DMs. Kind of an interesting way to do that. We'll talk a little bit more about that. As the show goes on here, we'll talk about that. Also, what's next for Spence? What's next for Pacquiao? Sometimes we hear, they're talking. That fight may happen. Other times we hear, because, people take that Pacquiao tweeting Spence or Crawford to be like, well, he must be wanting those fights now. I mean, that's not necessarily the truth right now. Not with Mayweather and McGregor out there. So we'll talk a little bit about that. I think we'll know more after this weekend as far as Spence, because obviously Spence was signed to fight Danny Garcia, right? No matter if you like the fight or not, he was signed to fight him. So we'll see a little bit more when the weekend is over, maybe even that night. Like I said, on Showtime. Who knows? Maybe it's going to be a Showtime pay-per-view, and that's the whole lineup. I don't know. It'd be weird for them to do that. Yeah, we got a pay-per-view, but it's on Fox, so I guess maybe we won't know. But I think we'll know a little bit more. But anyway, there is some other news and notes, some heavyweight fights on the Fox card and on the undercard for the Wilder Fury that got made. DAZN is actually talking about a fight, beyond a YouTube fight at this point. And it makes a lot of sense. If you're going to do these, you might as well go all the way with it, right? But man, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about one of the opponents, well, not the opponents, but contestants would be Logan Paul. Another one would be, well, you probably already know. We'll talk about it, though. And, his opponent better calm down, because he may mess up his DAZN money and end up getting arrested or something like that. If you've been paying attention to him in the news. We'll talk minorly about that. We're not going to have a 45-minute segment on YouTube fighters. Bob Arum was talking about a fight that a lot of people want to see. We'll let you know. And he was also talking about Crawford today in his next fight. So we'll let you know about that. There's a variety of other, like I said, news and notes that we'll cover. And yeah, so we'll definitely start with our normal recap. Then we'll probably breeze through some of that preview, next before we get to news. There's actually more news to talk about and to kind of, break through, see both sides of, rather than breaking down these fights this weekend. I mean, if we're being honest, you know what I mean? It's not like there's a lot of even 60-40 fights. And like I said, I do realize we're coming off a major upset, which could be the biggest upset of the year. So maybe Redkach can catch Garcia with the power shot. It's not, it's not possible. Santana's a tough dude. Can he give Hurd a good fight? We'll see. And what I mean by good fight, it really is, like a good television fight. Let's see two dudes going at it. That's what I hope it is, but you never know. Maybe it's not that because Hurd wants to, he obviously got a new trainer. Maybe he's going to come out and show us a different game plan. Remember, he tried to do that. He was all shoulder rolled, and he was on the ropes and stuff on the Wilder Fury card, and that didn't go good. Then he's like, you know what? Screw this dude. I'm going to knock him out. It could actually be that too, but yeah, we'll start with a recap, then we'll go with preview, then we'll go and cover the news. The number to call is 646-381-4990. If you're just listening, chilling, that's cool. If you want to join in, press 1. I see a variety of folks. I see Portland just popped in as well. How's everybody doing? Hope you're doing good. I know I'm doing pretty good. What else we got here? Man. Oh, yeah, okay. All right, sorry. I was just kind of going through the switchboard, and I almost messed it up, but I'm okay. We're going to be okay. So, yeah. Oh, by the way, I almost forgot this part. If this is your first time listening to the Rope-A-Dope Radio podcast, you can find it right here on blogtalkradio.com/Rope-A-Dope Radio. It streams live and archives. It's right here. Rope-A-Dope Radio is boxing first. That's how it got established. But we do talk football and basketball throughout the year, whether it's college or pros, just so you know. But if you want to listen to the Rope-A-Dope Radio podcast, not just on Blog Talk, you can find it on Apple Podcasts, iTunes. That is the same thing, isn't it? I was going to say iHeartRadio, Player FM, Spreaker, Stitcher, TuneIn, really anywhere, across the board. We're also part of the Grueling Truth Sports Podcast Network, which can be found everywhere. In fact, if you use Siri or Alexa through Spotify or TuneIn, you can find the platform as well. Why don't you head on over to thegruelingtruth.net? That's thegruelingtruth.net. They got a great sponsor over there, betnow.eu, with the promo code TGT. That's betnow.eu. The Grueling Truth, it's boxing, it's football, it's baseball, it's basketball, it's everything in between. You should definitely check it out. And one thing real quick, if you're thinking about cutting the cord, or maybe you have and you're just not quite happy with what you got or don't got, right? You should take a look at this. I do it myself, okay? I subscribe to it myself. It's AT&T TV Now. It's a 7-day free trial. There's no annual contracts to tie you down. The plans start as low as $50 a month. You can stream it anywhere. They have the cloud DVR. And Showtime, because it does seem like boxing rather than just Showboxing Clarissa Shields, is actually going to be on boxing this year. So Showtime's only $11 through AT&T TV Now. And it's a growing platform, okay? It's here in Minneapolis. It's in parts of California, Florida, New York, the Midwest like St. Louis, Topeka, Wichita, also in Seattle, Tacoma up in the Northwest. So basically just Google AT&T TV Now, put your area code in there, and see if you have access to this platform. Like I said, it's growing, though. It will expand across the country. Anyway, time for me to shut up with that type of stuff. We got to get down to the nitty-gritty. And the nitty-gritty is, of course, a huge upset. like I said in the beginning of the show, whether it was 9 or 10 or 12 to 1, whether it was 25, 30, whatever you found it at. First of all, kudos to you if you did actually put money on this. I always find it funny when we have these major upsets. People are like, well, that really doesn't surprise me much. I'm not really shocked. I thought he had a good chance. Well, put your money down then, dude. Not just with people, but you don't even have to bet anybody. Just put it, if you found it for 25 to 1, put your money on it, dude. But anyway, I have no problem telling the world that I was surprised. I was in shock. I mean, once I saw the fight take place, I wasn't calling it some kind of bummy fight or why is this on Fox and stuff like that. I gave, plenty of respect to Rosario. He had taken an early loss a couple years back. He had worked his way back. I talked about how that was the case last week. Did I say he was going to win? Nope. I did not say that, but I thought it'd be I didn't have a problem with it being in the main event of a Fox card. And I was hoping it would be two-way, and I thought it'd be a two-way competitive fight where J-Rock would just land the bigger shots, and I thought he actually had a chance to potentially, knock him out, TKO style. I think that's what I called for, either a UD or a TKO. So I'm not going to Monday morning quarterback and be like, I told you so. But it is funny. A lot of people that were calling this a shit fight, then all of a sudden we're like, oh, man, J-Rock has no chin. It's like, well, if he has no chin, then why would this fight be a crappy fight? I don't understand. It's kind of funny how that works out. But this is a pretty good fight, from the beginning. It really was. I enjoyed it thoroughly. I do think J-Rock made a couple mistakes. Whether he's going to win, the rematch or not, I do think he made a couple of mistakes in this fight, though. Mistakes very similar, I may add, to what he did with Charlo. And I'm not saying, well, if he just didn't make those mistakes with Charlo, he would have won the fight. That's definitely not what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Could he have not gotten knocked out? Maybe. At least not as early. Kind of crazy how they're both in the 5th round, right? Both of his knockout losses. But he did kind of make some mistakes. I think he got too used to landing clean early, on Rosario, that maybe it gave him a little bit more confidence than maybe, not confidence, but it just gave him, I don't know, he got a little too comfortable, like, all right, dude, time to walk this dude down. He did say he was coming to walk the dude down before the fight and all that. I give him credit for living up to his word, but I think he's going to look at this tape and go, if I would have just did this, if I would have just stuck to that, I could have won this fight. And he does have a rematch clause, by the way, and he said he's going to use it. And it's going to happen, by this summer or whatever. He was saying it's going to be a quick turnaround. We've heard people say that, and then it didn't happen. So I'm not judging him either way. I'm just being honest. We've seen folks say it. In fact, Jared Hurd was the one saying it recently. So 154 is just the gift that keeps on giving. I mean, golly, I love it. And it is funny to see boxing fans saying, oh, the marination. This is what you get when you're marinating. They screwed up the fights. We'll talk about that later. Let's talk about the actual action. I had Williams winning the first 2 rounds. Although Rosario, brought plenty of pressure. I thought just a nice, hard, clean jab and a couple of rights were enough to win the first round for sure. Second round, the pace started picking up a little bit more. Rosario started landing a little bit better, especially late in that round. And actually, Williams got cut. I think, in the second round, too, from a punch. And the cut was on the eyelid, but it also seemed like it had some inflammation, some swelling around it right away. Sometimes you just see the cut, and it's a cut, but it seemed like it could potentially swell. And I thought that too, like, wow, it's not a headbutt, it's a cut. And maybe that's why he changed it. Not that he completely switched up his game plan, but maybe that's why he brought a little more urgency, because he thought, you know what, I am going to try to hurt this guy, try to get this guy out of here, because what if my eyes shuts and they won't let me fight? You know, you never know. Third round, Williams landed flush right hands. There was a really nice uppercut late, too. I still thought he had that round maybe. Some really good shots. They both landed in exchanges, especially Rosario, and he landed a really nice left hook as well. You know, you could have given him that round maybe. You know what I mean? The fourth round was really competitive too. You know, after 4 rounds, could have been 3-1 J-Rock. Could have been 2-2 though. It definitely could have been 2-2. I had it 3-1, but it could have been 2-2. I just thought he was landing the better shots. Rosario was countering with the right hand really well too, from time to time, but not necessarily, you know. I thought Williams closed better down the stretch. That's why I gave him the fourth. But like I said, the third and fourth could have went either way. Could have been 3-1, could have been 2-2. I don't know. I had it 3-1 Williams, but I was perfectly okay. Now that I've watched it again, I think I did think it was 2-2. But I'm just looking at my, you know, at my not official. Well, it is kind of official. My first scorecard just when I was watching it live. Not like I do 10 scorecards a fight. But then in the fifth round, dude, and in the fourth and in the fifth, you could tell at times Williams was starting to pressure him. And that's where I'm wondering, was it, man, I'm really hitting him with flush shots, let's turn this up? Or was it, I'm cut. Let's turn it up because it's too early in the fight. Wonder if this fight stops. I don't know. Could have been a combination, you know, of the two. But when he got rocked, I think it was a left hook, he was hurt badly from the jump. And they were actually talking to Larry Hazard Sr., and he had just stopped after that left hook kind of right at the same time. And Brian Kenny came out and was like, oh, my God, J-Rock's hurt, like right off the bat. It was it got intense really quick, and he got hurt. J-Rock, I know it's easy to say from standing on the outside of the ring, but when you're a trained professional, well, sometimes you're too hurt to even know what to do, hold or take a knee. He should have taken a knee. Now, would that have saved him? I really don't know. I don't think so, just because when he did go down from trying to tackle him, people say, oh, he should have held more. Dude, he was trying to hold. He couldn't barely get his arms up correctly to do it. And Rosario was pushing him off and moving back, taking like a step back, which was smart too. In fact, remember he tried to hold him, and then he kind of tried to tackle him and fell on the ground. And look, when he was on the ground, how long it took him to get up. So maybe taking a knee wouldn't have saved him at all. You know, maybe that tackle did. Of course, trying to do the tackle does take, I'm not going to say it saps up all your energy, but it takes more than just taking a knee. It takes up more energy than taking a knee, that's for sure. But either way, he was pretty much done, dude. Regardless if he took a knee or not. You know, he was starting to get hit with harder shots. He's trying to back up. You could see his legs were stiff. He was done. Point blank period. He was done. And then that, I think it was a right uppercut and a left hook that he cleaned him up with. I mean, it was kind of like about to crash down on the ropes, and I thought it was a great stoppage. You can't go by what the fighter says all the time, obviously, because sometimes they're not throwing, they're looking out on their feet, and then when the ref steps in, then they're like, no, dude, I'm fine. Well, you got to show it. He just looked to his corner and said, wow. And that's basically what a lot of us were saying. Wow, what the hell just happened? Major, major upset. Really happy for Rosario. He's a guy, like I said, that lost a couple years back, I remember when Justin DeLoach was making noise as far as he knocked somebody out, and then it was like, oh, okay, this guy's making a little noise as a contender, and then he knocked him out, or did he just beat him? Either way, like, he kind of just built his way back up. As happy as I was for J-Rock when he upset, Hurd, I'm just as happy for Rosario. And that's, if you love J-Rock more than anybody out there boxing wise, okay, I get it, But other than that, boxing fans should love this. And we're going to get to the 54-pound, weight class. And like I said, it's been given us gems, whether it's fight of the years or upsets or both, in the same fight, right? Just like Hurd and J-Rock. A lot of people thought that was the fight of the year. And it was upset, one of the biggest upsets, too. So, but as far as the stoppage, 100% okay with it. No problems. I thought it was a great stoppage. We did see some fans throw some stuff. I don't think too much of it actually got in the ring. Maybe they weren't showing it too. I don't know. And that happens. We've seen that a bunch of times. It just happened with Chavez Jr. for different reasons, obviously. The hometown Philly crowd was like, hey, I'm seeing my guy up on his feet. He is yet to get knocked down. That's what they're saying. Especially a casual fan that's there to watch J-Rock. Hey, dude, he hasn't even, at least count a knockdown. I can understand those folks, but, once they get past the emotion and the passion for their hometown guy, if you really care about your hometown guy, then that was a great stoppage. And Rosario, dude, wow. Oh, wow, Rosario. The Dominican, big shots out to the Dominican Republic, dude. Big shots out to the Dominicans, dude. Don't let them start taking over boxing. Don't let them. I mean, they already took over baseball. They already got the MLB on lock. You want to watch some great baseball? Go to the Winter Leagues in the Dominican. It's like an all-star game, and then you also get to see the young up-and-comer Dominicans too. I haven't been there. I've been told by many of people that it's pretty dope, and a couple of people, 2 people that have actually gone down there. So just so you know. But anyway, I'm really happy for him, dude. It's a great story. Dude's 24. People are talking about, even when the fight was over, oh, he lost to a journeyman. How the hell is Rosario a journeyman at 24 with 1 loss? I mean, sure, he had a tough fight with Cotto. He did. But he just beat J-Rock, dude. So who gives a shit? Like, I just don't understand this. I don't know. I think it goes into the people that are mad that the PBC marinated these fights. But when you go through the timeline, they didn't marinate shit. But anyway, people lost, actually, and injuries happened. But we'll get into that in a second. But a great, great win. Fun fight. Like I said, do I want to see the rematch? Hell yeah. Because I do think J-Rock has a decent chance to win the rematch. I don't think it's just a foregone conclusion because, I've seen the fight now a couple more times. And like I said, if he was, his jab pivot game and jab right hand pivot game, or just straight up circling his opponent, a little lateral movement, hands up high. When he was on that game, I thought he was winning the rounds, and I thought he was winning the action within the rounds. He only really started losing when he started to come forward more. Now, like I said, maybe the eye cut had something to do with that. That makes sense. It also could be that he was just like, all right, dude, I landed my clean shots already. I'm going to start turning it up on this dude. He can't handle this. You know what I mean? People forget Rosario, what was it, the last 10 out of 13 fights were knockouts. And even in the fight he got stopped in, it was a TKO, right? Against Gallimore. He hurt Gallimore in that fight, if I recall. It was a while ago, but I'm almost positive he hurt him. So I don't know, man. You talking journeyman. It's like, dude, this is just another example. How many times have I said this on this podcast, guys and gals? We're not professional matchmakers. I know there's a lot of folks on Twitter that think they earn a living off being a professional matchmaker. But you and I and everybody else almost on Twitter are not professional matchmakers. Let's let some of these fights play out. Remember last year, Jose Cito Lopez, how could you put this bullshit on fucking TV? This is Fox, dude. This is for casuals. And what happened in that fight? This was even more evenly matched because at least Jose Cito had been through the ringer. Now that's a gatekeeper at that weight right now. And I love me some Jose Cito Lopez, but that's more of a gatekeeper. But it made a lot of sense for Thurman coming back. Anyway, let's just watch the fights. Let's enjoy some of these. You can have your opinion on the fight. You can sit there and say, nah, I'm not really checking for that fight. Cool. But don't make it such a horrible fight that when the positive happens and it's a great fight or it's a fun fight or there's a big upset, you can't just then attack the ASAP. Well, J-Rock doesn't have a chin. Well, why didn't you think this was a good fight then? Come on, dude. Boxing Twitter is just so fucking funny, dude. It's a great place for information. Not that much, actually. But there's some greatness of it. But, man, it's full of degenerates. Oh, my God, it's full. And not just boxing and gambling degenerates like myself, sports fiends. I'm not talking about that. I'm saying just straight up degenerates. And maybe in their life they're not. But when it comes to sport, they're and that's what sports Twitter, boxing Twitter is, really. It's a sport, It is a sport. But anyway, it looks like it got a pretty good rating if you look at the overnight. The overnight's a little deceiving. I saw a lot of people run. Well, not a lot. Some people ran with the article saying this is the rating. And we all know the overnights are just the overnights. Now, once in a while, an overnight can show something, and it can be misleading the other way, too. Like, let's say, okay, the whole card did 1.3. Okay, well, if there was a huge lead-in, there's a possibility that the biggest peak was at the beginning. Well, there wasn't a huge lead-in on this one. But the thing about the overnight, Fox has a 2-hour window for prime time. And a lot of times the Fox main events either start right on the cusp of that 9 o'clock, which is 10 o'clock Eastern, or after it. In this case, it started like 10 or 15 minutes after that prime time slot. So that 1.3 overnight doesn't involve as many markets as it normally does. But the more importantly thing is that rating right there has nothing to do with the main event. Like, not one thing to do with the main event. I guess you could say the last maybe 10 minutes of that last hour could have something to do with why it raised, because people were anticipating it's about to start. But we don't know the rating. And it's so funny, dude. This is another thing about Twitter. I saw 2 or 3 folks today, and this wasn't on my timeline. I actually forgot myself. I went to my normal ratings guide. It wasn't there, so I kind of, searched something on Twitter. And then I remembered while I was doing it, like, wait a second. Martin Luther King Day. Monday was a holiday. It's going to be a day late. But I saw some folks, and don't get me wrong, PBC fanboys on Twitter say some just ridiculous stuff too. And I've gone over some of that. But this guy said that basically the PBC is being protected by the Nielsen ratings, because where's the ratings? They come out every Tuesday. So I guess Al Heyman has a connection, a tie to the Nielsen ratings. Nobody else does, just Al. And so he's ducking the ratings. They're hiding the ratings, is what this guy was going. They're hiding the ratings. It's like, dude, it's coming out tomorrow. Calm down. It's a holiday, dude. What the fuck, dude? So we don't know the rating. Long story short, we don't know the rating. If you look at some of the overnights, the overnight was really close to Sean Porter Ugas. It was really close to Hurd J-Rock. But we'll see. It did have about a good 20 minutes, 25 minutes to peak. You know what I mean? So that helped. We'll see. I'm not really worried about it. I think it has a chance to do $2 million, which is really what I said, that I want Fox to be able to get to that rating. Obviously, I didn't expect it. First of all, Keith Thurman is a better A-side on TV. And to be honest with you, Jose Cito Lopez, who fought Canelo and has fought on TV for like a decade, whether it's premium cable or whatever, normal, he's been on Fox too. But and not only that, but it was a week later. I saw these articles saying, "Oh, it's the same exact week." No, it's actually a week later, and people may think, "Well, it's only a week later." Well, that makes a big difference. Last year, it was a week later, and that means you get that Saturday where there's no NFL football on Sunday. So basically, the conference finals are over. There's a lot of hype right away for sometimes what happened in the games, and then also the matchup. But then Thursday and Friday and Saturday comes around, and people realize, you know what? We got more than a week than the Super Bowl. I'm a sports fan. I need something to watch. And so that's why boxing, you see, on this last Saturday of January, they usually take advantage of this spot. Showtime gets it this week, so it's not apples to apples right there at all, actually. And not only that, but it's one thing to go against the NBA, LeBron and all that. That sucks, but that's going to be until like May, so that's not the biggest. That's competition. That's just there. But when you have competition within the combat sports world, and it's the biggest fighter out there in combat sports, you can't tell me that's apples for apples. And you're going to find out what I mean, not just the pay-per-view numbers of McGregor, which, McGregor and LeBron going head-to-head with those guys, are not necessarily head-to-head all the time, but with their shows, with the night, the attention, it takes up so much on Twitter, too, and on social media. That's what happens. But you're going to see that prelim. The UFC prelims, when it came to Fox, and even FS1, but especially Fox, obviously, go look at those numbers when McGregor fights. Not only was ESPN going to do a great number with the prelim on a Conor McGregor prelim, not that he's on it, but that night, people getting interested in for the card upcoming, they had a lead-in of Duke in Louisville, which is the biggest game of the week last Saturday. So, or at least on Saturday, it was the biggest. I should say it was the biggest game of the week. There may have been a bigger, but as far as Saturday, Louisville Duke was the biggest game. So that UFC fucking lead-in or that the game lead-in, but the prelim, that's going to be a huge number. I wouldn't be shocked if it does more than the Fox number, to be honest with you, based off the lead-in and also what it's done before on Fox. Go look at their Fox numbers on the prelim when they got a legit star on those prelims. It's major. Go look at Mayweather-McGregor prelim when they had like Ugas and a couple dudes fighting. That was a big number. That was a number they don't normally do. So it's not apples for apples, but like I said, I'm big on trying to get as many Fox fights going over 2 million peak-wise. That, I think, is something that, hopefully they can continue to get going there. And also the ESPN card, which we're going to get to in just a second, that's going to do a good number because they got the prelim. They got the prelim, helping them out. So, and I do think that'll help them. I really do think that'll help them. The prelims will definitely help them. As far as, I'm just going to start calling him Colbert, Chris Colbert. No, Colbert, because I've been saying it so much anyway. So Colbert was taking up the biggest challenge of his career. I don't care about the WBA. I'm not the one. I don't sit there and stress too much about belts. I'll go on my rant, from time to time, but I care about the fight. Give me a good fight. You can figure out the trinkets later. You know what I mean? I'm not worried about the trinkets. And I say that because this was the WBA special. But I don't give a shit about that. I care about the fight. This was a legit step up for Colbert. And, I mean, what was this? His 14th fight, I believe? 15th fight? I think it was 13-0 coming in, if I remember correctly. So, I mean, you know, this is a good step up. Now, the first, Corrales is an awkward guy. He's looking to counter you. And he's got power. He's got good defense and stuff, but he really was looking for a counter, and that's about it for like the first 6 rounds, 5 rounds. So it was a really, really slow fight to start out with. Both of them kind of fainting a little bit. Very slow start. Very, very slow start. A jab, a few decent lands once in a while. It got Colbert like wondering, man, I'm just going to leap in and leap out and use an angle. And sometimes he got hit, and that's something he's going to have to correct. But it was really one shot at a time for most of the fight, either a left hook or a jab or like a leaping right or something really quick. Just didn't get a lot done in that. I'd say more in the 3rd and 4th round, you did see Colbert just put up the pressure a tad, and I mean a tad. And he started getting his left hook through. It was hard to give Corrales many rounds. Maybe the 6th round is the first round I gave him, because that's when he actually landed a couple of good shots. In fact, I think a couple of them in the last part were to the body. And I thought he won the 6th round. And then once the 7th round and on, slowly but surely this became even more of a competitive fight. And the action picked up somewhat. It never turned out to be some kind of great fight or even very good fight, but I thought it was way better in the second half. But that's not saying much, because that first half was horrible. But I did think that although the 7th round, the very next round, had a slow pace, you know, I thought some of the jabs and some nice right hands, a couple of shots later, won the round. Both of them kind of were having success to the head and body, just not a whole lot. Better lands by both, but I like, as far as the fight goes in the 8th round, I think a left hook kind of stood out for me, though, for Colbert. Really good exchanges, a couple of them early in the 9th. And it did see, you know, it seemed like it was just pot shot central for the most part for both guys, but Colbert too. And I will say this, I kind of forgot to mention this. I made a little note later in the 9th round. Corrales was holding a lot too. And I get it, you know, it is what it is, but he was holding. And the ref did a good job somewhat early enough in the fight of warning him. But he just kept saying, hey, dude, don't do that. Well, and the fact, once he started really kind of stopping the action, going, hey, dude, I mean it, don't hold, the fight actually got minorly better after that. Go figure, right? Corrales actually went to grab, and he got hit. It was kind of a short little punch. Got knocked down. Wasn't any kind of major thing, but it was a nice shot. Like I said, it looked like he went to grab, and he put himself in a bad situation, got hit. There was some good two-way action in the 10th, though, down the stretch, maybe the last 45 seconds or so. And then, you know, back and forth, at least more back and forth. You know what I mean? Clean shots by both of them. I thought Jezreel actually landed a good jab, some flush hooks. But overall, you know, I think actually, didn't someone get flung to the ground too right around this time? I believe that was the case late in this fight. And Colbert, he finished up stronger. 116, 111, and two cards had it 117, 112. I had it 10-2, 9-3, something like that. Maybe you could. I think tops 8-4. I can't see much more than 8-4. I really can't. I don't see that. I don't see how you could go more than 8-4. Or yeah. But I see 9-3, 10-2, or something like that. Colbert landed 122 to 59. That really tells you Corrales 59 punches land. Now, he did kind of pick it up those last couple rounds, but it was just too late. He almost caught up to Colbert for the punches, too, 444 compared to 426, but 14%. And just power shots alone, 80 to 40 in favor of Colbert. So it wasn't the prettiest thing. That's for damn sure. But, you know, he got the job done. And this type of thing, I think he could, you know, I don't know. I think he could throw more punches. And what I mean by that is it's not like, you know, sometimes it's always, well, he should have doubled and tripled the jab. Okay, but if you double and triple the jab, you're going to get countered. You're going to get countered, and that's the whole point why he didn't do it, in my opinion. But I think you could still jab to the stomach and use that little angle like you were doing getting out of there. Go to the body more in general. Make him open up. I just think he could have maybe thrown an extra even 50 to 100 punches in the whole fight. Could have given him more openings. I understand there was a lot of feints. There was a lot of head movement by both. I mean, Corrales is, you know, he was making it difficult with him really looking for the counter and him holding. It was tough. So I think Colbert's gonna learn from this. You know, good 12 rounds for him too. Coming off some knockouts of late, so that kind of humbles him too. So I think it was a good to very good performance in spots. I can't sit there and say great, but it is hard to be great when someone's fighting that way to you. But I think he could have just picked up the pace a little bit more. And even if it was one shot at a time, cool. Throw the jab to the stomach. Use your little angle. Both of them, like I said, were using really good upper body and head movement anyway. So, and then Joey Spencer fought a guy that he just basically, I mean, the Philly fans are booing for these first two fights. I can't totally blame him. Spencer, you know, we've seen him tired a little bit because he tries to put everything into every punch. Sometimes these prospects that start, I think he made his debut in Minneapolis at the Armory, he knocked some dude out and he posed, and first couple of fights, it's like, this dude's got some fucking power. Wow, you know, and you're looking at it. And that's why I try not to get too lost in these guys early, no matter who it is. And, I mean, unless it's like Lomachenko going against, you know, Salido in his second or third fight, that's different, you know, but it's way different, right, as we know. But, or even Usyk, you know, getting in there earlier than expected. Even, Colbert. It's only his 14th fight. That's a good fight. But he's just, I can't even say that he's digressed because it does seem like he's getting his camp a little better, his weight a little better. It didn't seem like he was gassing or nothing like that. It seemed like he was mixing up the pace more than he had on his punches. But, you know, it's a wait and see with him. It's a wait and see. I do know this. Twitter is getting sick of watching him getting these spots. So that is what it is. So yeah, on to the ESPN card. Verdejo and Rojas. This was a competitive fight. I thought this was a competitive fight. It was pretty good. I mean, it wasn't like some kind of great action fight, but hey, competitive fights are competitive fights. I'll always say that. And so I thought, I actually thought that it was fun to watch. Where is the scorecard, though? I had it a somewhat competitive fight too. If I could just find the scorecard. Where did I score this? I don't know. I'll find it in a second, I guess. But either way, I thought Rojas started out really well. Or fairly well. His jab was definitely landed pretty well early. Especially like the last part of the second round, if I remember correctly. That was something there. Verdejo was also jabbing, in the opening rounds. I thought as the third round and stuff like that started getting going, I thought he started landing the cleaner shots than Verdejo. He was, after 3 rounds, he was outworking him. I think it was like, I wrote it down too. I think it was like 50-30 in shots landed after the third or fourth. So he was beating them. Good action around though. I thought the action definitely heated up in the fourth. Another fun 5th round. Oh, here we go. There it is. Okay, I got my scorecard. So where was I? 5th round. Yeah, I was right. After 3, it was 50-30. But the 4th and 5th, I thought this fight started getting really good. And then you start to give more to Rojas, too. You're like, dude, okay, this fight's evening up. I gave him the 6th to Rojas. He kind of had a different style. Like, he was kind of bouncing on the outside, maybe a little too much. But I gave him the better. I thought he landed the better shots. But Verdejo, I thought his upper body movement was pretty decent, too. Verdejo was just busier in the 7th. The 8th round was really close. That's where the pace kind of slowed back down. You could probably say Verdejo landed more in that round. I don't know. The 9th round, the stick and move, kind of pot shotting. I thought Verdejo won that. And then I gave Rojas. I think he finished up better with jabs and right hands, basically. More of them, basically. So I gave him that round 2. Scorecards had it 97-93, 98-92, and 99-91. I think I had it. 7-3, 6-4, 7-3. I think I had it 7-3. Like I said, they're both landing jabs. I just thought Verdejo got his through more. If you look at the punch stat, 79-41. That's a lot of jabs. 164-100 overall, landing 36% to 17. So it was a good performance. I thought Verdejo looked pretty good. I've never been way high on him, but I'm not, who knows? The guy had an accident on his motorcycle, right? And, he's trying to make his career go back up. The crowd definitely came for him, that's for sure. It was one of those things where you see when the co-features like the name for selling tickets anywhere there, you always see not always, but most of the time you see, all of a sudden you look in the stands, you're like, there wasn't as many people. They didn't clear out or anything, but you could tell there was less people. But as far as Alvarez and Seals, Alvarez got the job done. I thought he looked pretty good. Both of them were kind of feeling each other out to start the fight. Alvarez landed his jab, getting his right hand through as well. Winning it fairly easy. The 3rd and 4th rounds, you could see that the action started picking up. A lot of these fights kind of played out. 3 of the 4 fights kind of played out very similar in the beginning, I should say. But yeah, I think just the jab and right hands. He actually started mixing in the body, I believe, in the 4th round too, did Alvarez. But then Seals kind of bumped up the aggression. He started landing some short shots on the inside, some overhand rights, and a great right hand that had Seals wobbled at the end of the 5th round. At the bell, it was like, speaking of at the bell, that's how he got the knockout too in style, but he was lucky to get out of that round because he could have got it then. I guess not too lucky because, 2 rounds later. But there was like 2 or 3 really big exchanges in the 6th. I just thought I'd say several cleaner, harder shots in the 6th round. Gave it to Alvarez, and then a jab. Alvarez came out with a really hard jab early. And to Seals' credit, like late, I think 70 seconds. I think I wrote 70 seconds, right around that mark. There was a nice flurry by Seals, and I was like, okay, well this might go the distance here. And then all of a sudden, a huge right hand landed right on the kisser, right on the buzzer, right before the bell. Literally less than a second before the bell. Right hand one-hitter quitter by Alvarez, too. I mean, this guy dropped him. Seals was out. It was a wrap. It was a wrap. It was a great punch. And like I said, obviously it's the knockout of the year right now. I guess that's not saying a ton because, you know, we're pretty early in the year. But, wow. You know what I mean? Wow. That was impressive. That was an impressive shot. And a lot of people, including myself, I was thinking Joe Smith was probably going to get the call. Joe Smith and Alvarez. That's a pretty good, you know, that works for me. I don't know too many people that'll complain about that fight. That's for sure. But, you know, that's not always how it's going to go, right? And in fact, the sanctioning belts have jumped in on this one. And I'm not saying it's negative that they jumped in on this one. It's definitely not what I'm saying at all. But they popped in on this one, which is no surprise. But they basically are making a four-man tournament, or at least they're trying to, I should say, because it's not like – I'll get into the info here real quick, actually. I'm going to look it up real quick. But I do like the idea of, like, who's next. But I just think that because you figure Gilberto would come in here someplace, right? I mean, that's pretty easy. He moved up, you know, in weight. You figure if Gilberto was coming in. Ramirez, you know. But we also heard that maybe, you know, he's not going to be with Top Rank anymore. So, you know, I guess I didn't know for a fact, you know, I wasn't totally for sure on that. But now we know a little bit more about the situation. Now, it doesn't mean what I'm going to tell you is going to happen because they actually have a very short turnaround to figure this out. So, I wonder if that's going to play into some of this stuff. You know what I mean? But anyway, the WBO with, you know, we always know the WBO stands for with Bob only or Warren Bob only or, you know, that type of thing. But they called, here, I'm going to get the news out here in a second. All right, so, and this is, I believe, it's Jake Donovan, who had reported on basically the confusion going surrounding the WBO in the lightweight. WBO obviously is the one that Kovalev had, and Canelo knocked him out and then dropped the belt. So this is what it looks like they're going to do. They're going to call for Gilberto Ramirez against Alvarez. And then Salamov against, I believe it's who is it? Vlasov? Vlasov, I think it is. Let me look really quick. Yeah, Vlasov. So it's Salamov and Vlasov, and I believe he's been around Vlasov for a little bit. But that's it's kind of weird though, because we heard that Gilberto may not be with Top Rank anymore. They're trying to get out of the contract. I don't know. But here's the thing. They're requiring that these camps respond within 24 hours whether the boxers are ready to participate in these eliminations. So that's a pretty quick turnaround. And then if they agree saying, yes, I want to be in there, you know, if they do agree, they have 15 days to do a deal. Otherwise, they go to purse bid. So they're moving pretty freaking quickly on this, right? So we'll see. We'll see what that means. You know what I mean? We will see what that means. So I don't know, man. You know, I don't mind. You know, I actually at this point, Joe Smith Jr. and Alvarez makes more sense to me. But you know, Gilberto in a big fight finally since what, Abraham? No, he did fight Hart twice, but that's not even a big fight. That's just a good fight. But I don't know, dude. I really don't know, man. I'm not sure, man. I really don't know. So they gotta decide quick, though. Really quick. Sorry, I was returning this damn text from somebody. Okay, that's cool. And I'm not texting my buddies. Well, some of them are my buddies, but I'm not randomly having different conversations. This is somebody that's listening to the show right now, and they're telling me something I may have misspoke or whatever. So that's why I wanted to check it out. So yeah, that's where we're at with that. I don't have anything wrong with those 4 fighters getting the elimination. It is what it is. You fight them, and then the winner meets. Okay, you can get that figured out by this year. Okay, cool, whatever, that's fine. That's cool, no problem. And I did mention that I believe this will be I think a lot of people saw that knockout because I think they'll get. For ESPN ratings, I think they're going to get a healthy rating, man, because they have that lead-in. And like I said, that lead-in I think the lead-in is going to do more on average. I don't know what it's going to peak at, but I think that prelim rating, because it got a lead-in and it's McGregor prelim, which, like I said, go back and look at some of those McGregor prelims. They do really well. He draws so much attention to his events that people that are going to watch the pay-per-view are watching the undercards. That's how it goes. So the cool thing is McGregor, for boxing in general, McGregor didn't get on till really late at night, so it helped the ESPN. It also helped Fox. And the main events, what I was hoping would happen, and it seemed like the way it was scheduled, that the main events on Fox and ESPN didn't go head-to-head, too. So they could get a little bump from the people that watch the Fox card that are boxing fans to go to ESPN. Because remember, they got that last year for the, funny enough, J-Rock and Hurd. I think it was Vargas and Burchell. And that went off later, and you could see there was a bumper off that. So that, when you got to go head-to-head as far as programming on the same night, it sure works out better when 2 hours of the show is already done on Fox and the main event's coming, and then the show just starts. You know what I mean? It really helps boxing fans. But anyway, I digress. As far as this weekend goes, I do want to see Fulton. The one fight that I'm interested in, not that he's fighting a killer, but I do want to see Stephen Fulton. I think he's a good prospect. I really kind of want to see him come up. So, I like that. I like that fight. You know what I mean? I don't have a problem with that fight at all. I like that fight. That's a good fight for him, where he's at. So, yeah, that works for me. That's really the one where I'm going, okay, dude, give me this one. Let's see this one. This one is on Showtime. I'm speaking of. I don't know if I said that. I just started talking about the card. But, I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat the freaking card. It's not some sort of, great card by any stretch of the imagination, obviously. But, like I said, Stephen Fulton. Is it Stefan or Steven? I think it's Stefan. Let me check, actually. But he's taking on Arnold Khegai or Khegai, I think it is. Birthplace, Ukraine. He actually is, I didn't realize this, I'm on Boxing Tour. He's actually a resident of Philly. Interesting. I didn't know that. That's funny. So we got a Philly versus Philly. via Ukraine. That's America for you, baby. Anyway, this is a good step up for him. You know, I like this step up. It's not, you know, Adam Lopez is a guy that I remember seeing that fight with them. Actually, let me look if I don't really, not too many other guys on his record I've seen him fight. So Fulton, I think Fulton's going to win. Don't get me wrong, but I think it's a decent step up. It's not like Fulton has a bunch of guys either. He fought Adam Lopez and had a majority decision. Fought some other Joshua Greer years ago. This was like 2016 or something like that. Let me check really quick. Yeah, 2015. So, you know, I like it. I think it's like, all right, let's see where both these guys are at. And obviously Fulton, you know, is the favorite or whatever, right? But, you know, let's take a look-see. Let's take a look-see at. But now as far as the main event or the co-feature of the main event, you have Hurd coming back, got a new trainer. I'm wondering if we're going to see some new tricks up his sleeve or if he's going to try some stuff out because he thinks Santana's not on his level. I was talking about how he did that about a year and change ago on the Fury Wilder undercard. Remember, he was kind of getting hit a lot. He's like, screw this, dude. I mean, saying Hurd getting hit a lot isn't really saying much, right? But he was in a defensive posture, and he got out of that fucking shit real quick, and he just started going to the body and just knocked dude out. But I'm wondering if we're going to see even more of a jab, even more of a tight guard, you know, that type of stuff. Are we going to see an angle when you come forward? I don't know. What I do know is Santana brings it. Santana can bring it. And so from I say casual sports fan, or not sports fan, but casual boxing fan, the problem is people know Danny Garcia. Some people know Hurd. So maybe there will be casual fans that like Danny Garcia, but this is on Showtime. And although I've actually seen some Showtime, I saw 2 commercials for this card. They did it for Gervonta, too. It's kind of cool. They did it for Charlo, too. Against Hogan. Normally it's on, I've noticed it's on TNT. When they have NBA on TV, TNT, now that whole, HBO's out of business for boxing and Time Warner thing, all I know is HBO was usually the one that would be on TNT there, you know, as far as promoting fights. Not many of them, but, you know, I saw that from time to time. So that's kind of cool for Showtime. And I also see those YouTube commercials where they have Showtime Championship Boxing. A lot of times Gervonta's in the commercial. That's kind of cool. But either way, I'm not looking for this thing to break 800,000 or 1 million, you know, on Showtime, which is a big rating for Showtime, obviously. So, you know, is Hurd Santana a good TV fight just to watch and watch these two dudes hit each other? Sure. But that's about it, to be honest with you. Now, who knows? Maybe Hurd, like I said, will get on his shoulder roll, you know, or think he's like Roy Jones out there. I don't know. Maybe he'll think he's Purnell and get hit too much early, and then it becomes a good fight. I don't know. But I'd say Hurd will win. I think he'll win by knockout. But I think it'll be fun while we get there. That's what and I kind of think the same thing about the main event. Danny Garcia was supposed to be on this weekend, actually. And hence remember I told you about the weekend and how this weekend is targeted usually for boxing. In fact, there hasn't been many pay-per-views on this weekend. I think the pay-per-view from this weekend was years ago with over almost a decade ago. Yeah, over a decade ago. I think they did one. I think it was Roy Jones and Trinidad, which actually turned out to be a good fight because they were both so old. I want to say that was in January, right in this time frame. Because remember, last year they did a pay-per-view, but it was the week before with Pacquiao Broner. It was the week before you get that gap. So that's why Fox was looking to take advantage of this weekend with Spence and Garcia But so Danny thought he had the fight. Obviously, you know, when you do cartwheels with your Ferrari or Lambo, well, same difference, whatever. That happens. Fight's canceled, or is it just postponed? That's what it kind of feels like, that it's just postponed. Ultimately, we'll see, though. There could be, like I said, maybe Showtime's actually getting this fight. Wouldn't it be dope if they put Spence and Garcia on CBS? That'd be a huge rating. I don't think it'll happen, but that'd be a huge rating. But I don't see that happening. Anyway, you know, his opponent, once again, this is a good TV fight. I'll give you that, because Redkach comes to fight. You know, years ago, he's Ukrainian too. He came in kind of with some pedigree, right? And then I think he lost. I think his first loss was to Zlatitian, if I remember that correctly. I did not remember it correctly. It was Tevin Farmer. Okay, it was Tevin Farmer. Maybe he didn't even fight Zlatitian. Maybe I'm totally wrong on that one. But it was Tevin Farmer. Oh, he did lose he got TKO'd in 2015 by Zlatitian. Actually, now that I look at it, it kind of froze up on there, but that actually was his first loss. Farmer came a little bit later. Yeah. So Luis Cruz, he had a split decision draw. He lost the decision to Farmer, lost the decision to Mendez. Molina Jr., he almost had him stopped. He ended up losing that fight, though. I think he got knocked out. Yeah, he got knocked out. And then, you know, he kind of bounced back with a couple of wins just to get his stuff right. And then last summer on FS1, I thought he was down to Devin Alexander. It was a good competitive fight, though. But he was down to him. And he ended up knocking out Alexander. Now, I thought Alexander had looked pretty good in the two previous fights. Even though I think he lost and there was a draw, I thought he won both those fights. But Redkach is what he is. He does have power. He can pop. And he's going to get a full camp, you know, in this fight. But I just think Danny, I don't think he's going to overlook him. You know, can you hit Danny? Yeah, but he's going to counter you with the big left hook, and I think that's ultimately what's going to happen. Once again, stylistically, yeah, it'll be a fight. It'll be a brawl. It may look a lot like, I was going to say that Zab Judah fight, where he looked really good early, and then Zab started landing big shots late in that fight. That actually is an underrated fight for Danny. But, so yeah, I think he'll win by knockout. Danny looked really good against Granados. I'll tell you that. We know Granados, 147 is not his best weight class, but he looked damn good. And he said, did Danny Garcia I'm speaking of, he said that he actually made a minor improvement in his camp and that he actually stepped up part of his, whether it's strength and conditioning or whatever. He said he was just kind of doing strength and conditioning, and he, he did it and stuff, but he didn't really take it serious because that's just how he was taught. And, the old school, we don't have to do it really. We could do some of it, but it's going to be, maybe your boxing coach is doing that or whatever. I think he did have a coach, but I remember him specifically saying after that Granados performance that he looked to improve himself after those losses, and he said he stepped up a notch with his training. And I got to say, against Granados, I'm not saying he looked like a different fighter, but damn, he didn't get hit a whole lot in that fight, dude. He really did. Compared to what I thought it would be. I didn't think it'd be just a one-sided slaughter like that. But like I said, I don't think that Redkach is only, his biggest thing is catch, right? To catch him with a big shot. But I think he'll just make for an entertaining fight style. I think he'll get caught with that left hook, getting countered. It could be his right hand, too, that jab right hand. We've seen him knock out Brandon Rios and hurt some other folks or whatever. But it's just one of those stay busy fights. And Garcia is going to pick a Redkach more than, say, a Ugas, right? He wants to get to the next fight, and that's what it is. And I'm not ripping Redkach. Like, he's solid. He's okay. He's solid. He's got good power. He makes for good stylistic fights. I'll give him that. That's for sure. And that's really what I hope to get out of this card. There is a Golden Boy card on Thursday night as well, I should at least mention, on the Zone Thursday Night Fights. So, it's Quigley and Cortez, I think it is. So, yeah, there's that too. I'm not going to sit there and break that down too many different ways. But, yeah, we'll see. I think we're going to get, speaking of Jared Hurd, now we assume, and we can't, and Garcia, I'm about to get to you. I just saw you pop on there. With J-Rock, we can't just assume that he's going to take the rematch clause. He may. He says he's going to. But Hurd said he was going to. Some other folks have said they were going to. Tyson Fury said he was going to. And, he ultimately did. It was just a couple of fights later, So right now, I can't. Remember, Joshua said he was going to, and then he did. And a lot of people thought, no way. And Joshua said it, and then he actually did. So kudos to him or whatever. But I don't know. It feels like J-Rock is going to do it. He also knows that he's going to have to climb the ladder back up if he doesn't. Not that they'll drop him way down, because he is with PBC. He's got plenty of fights there. Him and Harrison would be a great fight, whatever. But if that rematch happens between Rosario and J-Rock, why not just go to Jared Hurd and Charlo? If Hurd wants to fight, he's not saying, well, I'm only looking to get my belts back, or Charlo's says, well, I only want to unify with those guys. That'd be different, but that'd still be a big fight. It'd still be a big fight. And it's kind of funny, though, the way fans react to upsets and just this whole 154-pound division. Now, a lot of fans that are just fans and they don't really get into, well, I'm going to cheer for this, I'm going to cheer for that, as far as platforms. They just want to see good fights, and when shit happens, they like it, But I have heard a lot of people complaining that the PBC marinated these fights, and that's why the fight didn't happen between Hurd and Charlo. And it should already happen last December. That's what people say. Not this December, but last December. But you got to rewind. And you can't just say stuff and say, let's bring some facts let's bring some clarification to it. Now, when you say that fight could have been made a year ago, well, let's just catch all the way up real quick. Carcino, I'm going to go to you next. I want your thoughts on this too, and also, we're going to talk a bunch of stuff. But I myself love it when these upsets happen, and 154 is the gift that keeps on giving. And I love it, right? Because you have, Hurd, Charlo, J-Rock, Rosario, Castaño, Arislandi Lara, Harrison. You have these fights. These are great fights. Now, is one of these guys a top 5 pound-for-pound guy? No. But most divisions don't have top 5 pound-for-pound guys in them. So who gives a shit? In my opinion, I don't really care about that. But let's back up to December 2018, because that's when, the fight was supposed to pop off, Hurd and Charlo. But remember, in that April, one of the fights of the year, I think I called it the fight of the year in 2018. That was my fight of the year, was Arislandi Lara and Jared Hurd. That's what that fight was. If you remember correctly, after that fight, it was a great fight, and there was a knockdown in the last round. That's how Hurd won, right? But Hurd had an injury. He said he actually had an ongoing injury that he wanted to find. Wasn't it his shoulder or something like that? It was an injury. And so he said he needs to take care of that issue, and then he wants a camp to get back. and take a tune-up. So the fight couldn't have happened December 2018. It couldn't have, because Charlo was ready, but obviously Hurd had an injury. Because remember, Hurd fought, what the hell's his name? I can't remember. He's the UK fighter. He fought him on the undercard of Wilder Fury in 2008, December. That's the one I just was explaining. Remember when he was doing that shoulder roll and was on the rope, and he said, fuck this. I'm going to just knock this dude out. So then, Charlo wasn't going to sit around, right? He's not going to sit around, so they put him against Harrison. Well, what happened in that fight? Now, you could say, I had Charlo winning, I had Harrison winning. I don't care who you had winning the fight. The bottom line is Harrison won the fight. So the champion has a rematch clause, just like J-Rock had, right? Just like Hurd had. We'll get to him in a second. So they had to have that rematch, right? So they had the rematch. And they had it scheduled in June. Now, people say this is the part they screwed up. No, hold on. They didn't marinate anything. Because remember what happened. In June, Harrison, the champion at that time, pulled out of the fight because he hurt his ankle. Now, he decided not to have surgery, but he still hurt his ankle. So he didn't fight. Once again, that's not marination. That's the fighter pulling out. Pause. And then the month before that, we're still in this last June 2019, we had J-Rock and Hurd fight. Well, Hurd wanted to fight the next fight. He wanted to unify, but there's no one to unify with because there's a rematch clause for Harrison. Harrison has to fight Charlo if he wants to keep the belts. So Hurd fought J-Rock last May. Well, what happened in that fight? Well, as we know, J-Rock won the fight. So they had to postpone the Charlo fight. They gave him that Cotto fight just to have a fight, right? And then they were they were actually going to do it a doubleheader. They were going to have the rematch with Harrison and Charlo, which happened. It was one of the better fights. It was a really good fight. And then on the undercard, they were going to have the Hurd and J-Rock rematch. But we know Hurd pulled out. Pause. Right? Hurd pulled out. This isn't me siding with anybody. He pulled out. And he said he went with a new trainer and he wants a camp or whatever. He wants to get his, okay, cool. So, and then people say, well, J-Rock shouldn't have fought anybody. They could have had, hold on now. So you're telling me J-Rock, who just won the belt and was waiting on Hurd for the rematch clause, he's supposed to sit out from May and wait till Charlo and Harrison fight and not fight till the next summer? So he's supposed to be out a full year? Why would that be? Why would he have to wait a year? That makes no sense. That makes no sense. Because then, if Charlo beat J-Rock, then everyone would be saying, oh, he had a year off, dude. Of course, he got him when he was rusty. So of course they gave J-Rock a fight. What, is he not supposed to fight? He's supposed to go from May to June, the next June, because that's when they were saying the fight was going to happen, sometime in June or July, sometime in the summer, the unification at 154. Remember the second or third time they tried to make this, but shit happens, right? So now I would love to see Rosario and Charlo, but the former champ, has a rematch clause. So here we are. Well, let's go to Hurd. Let's go to Lara. Let's go to Castaño, and Castaño does have a fight coming up more than likely for that WBA thing with Soro. But when people say they marinated this and that's the problem, people lost. People got hurt and pulled out. That had nothing to do with marinating. They act like they could have made this fight in 2016. So I totally disagree, dude. I don't know what people are saying that could have happened in December 2018. I mean, Jared Hurd got hurt. He messed up his shoulder. He said he needed a camp. And then Harrison beat Charlo. So it's just silly sometimes. Anyway, short rant over. And don't get me wrong, you can over marinate fights, and we've called them out plenty of times when it's been on here, but this was not an over marination. I mean, since 2018, a bunch of shit has happened. That's just the bottom line. All right, let's bring in Carcino from Chicago, my Midwestern brethren. What's going on, Carcino? How the hell are you, buddy?
So I'm hanging in there. Just got to deal with the fact that the Super Bowl has the Chiefs in it. You know.
Well, how long is it going to take you to deal with it? You think you're going to be able to get over it in the next couple of days, or maybe you'll take this whole 2-week gap?
Probably when I go to the Super Bowl party and see all the strippers everywhere, then
it'll lighten up your conscience a little bit.
Right, I won't care who wins after that. So.
Oh man! So it turns out running the ball is actually a good thing in the NFL. If you look at the Niners, because I mean, you had the quarterback there for the Niners go 6 of 8 and 11 of 19 in back-to-back games, but the running game was destructive, dude.
Yeah, well, that's what the Titans did. I mean, touchdown Tannehill, you know. That's what they did. They ran the ball with Henry, and they said, look, we're not going to risk throwing any interceptions if we don't throw the ball. Too much passing in the league now as it is.
Yeah, and even the Rams last year. Remember the Rams last year during the playoffs? They went to the run too with Anderson. Remember he started just bulldozing people. I mean the run game is not over. The run game is not over, dude. And once it gets cold, that shit hurts to try to tackle somebody.
Yep, sure does.
All right. Well, speaking of the ground game, in the hand game, man, Rosario pulled up a great upset, and to see J-Rock look to his corner and just go, wow. Like, oh my, I am shocked. I was saying the same thing. What'd you think of the fight? Now, obviously, the cut only plays a very small thing. Even J-Rock said, yeah, it messed me up a little bit, but I'm not making excuses. The only reason why I bring it up, Carcino, is because the first couple of rounds, J-Rock was on his jab pivot, jab right hand, circle your opponent, keep your guard high. He was on his fundamental game. Once the cut came, I don't know if it was a combination of, hey, this cut came from a punch, so I'm going to have to try to get this guy out of here, or he had landed some clean shots, so he got confident. I think the same thing happened with Charlo. Remember, he was winning rounds, but then he got a little too confident, got into exchanges, and then we saw what happened there, another uppercut. How do you see the first couple of rounds where it looked like, J-Rock had his jab and right hand, and he was, like I said, fundamental, and then he wasn't, and then Rosario started landing his shots, countering with his shots, and then that left hook landed, and pretty much, 30 seconds after that, it was a wrap. But what do you think about this fight? And then let's talk a little bit about the potential for a rematch, too.
Well, the thing about the fight is this. J-Rock makes an easy fight hard. Because of his fight style, he's never going to really be in a boring fight. His style is mostly get close and stay on a line, but do subtle movements and bang it out. A more of a Philly style type of fight style. And for a guy like Rosario, you're giving him chances when you fight that kind of way. And when the fight started, Rosario wanted to see the openings first. So he was the one that was really, and he fought more like a veteran than J-Rock did at the point. He kind of allowed J-Rock to set the pace to see what he was actually bringing to the table. And then after the first round, he kind of saw his spot, saw his openings, and said, okay, all right, this guy's doing that, then I should be okay because I know where I can have my advantages and my disadvantages. So In the second round, he tried to counter and started being a little bit more offensive with his jab, which would all throw off the timing of J-Rock and throw off his rhythm, and he'll watch J-Rock have to reset. And I said, oh, okay, I see what he's doing, because he's landed some big shots, but he's also making J-Rock reset. And the jab was strong. And I can tell you it was strong because when he landed the jab, Edwin Rosario, it was like more like a punch jab than just a regular jab. But when he landed, it affected J-Rock. It made him, go back and reset. I said, okay, well, he tasted his power, and the guy's got a heavy left hand. And I knew that then. I said, oh, this guy's got a really heavy left hand, because that jab, he felt it. And that was in the second round. So in the third round, I saw J-Rock kind of step it up a bit. I felt like he's like, okay, let me, get to work here. Started doing some combination. They both were trading shots in that one, and it was some shots that were whistling by that I'm like, oh, man, J-Rock gets hit with that. He's going to sleep. And he was, very alert, dodging it, using the jab, and he was getting in the rhythm, I thought. Then the fourth round. And I started seeing punches land for Rosario that was like, wow. He was taking some shots, and J-Rock kind of stepped up the pressure a little bit, with the jab. He took some shots. J-Rock did in that fourth round. And I said, man, J-Rock's getting hit. These punches are really, get your attention punches by Rosario. And they didn't really look that heavy, but some of them were like, you could see the reaction of J-Rock from getting hit with the punches. And you're like, wow, it's throwing him off a little bit. So in the fifth round, it became like that brawl, it was just like an all-out, assault by J-Rock. And he was really going after Rosario, and he was landing some good shots. And I felt that he was one shot away. And I'm quite sure he felt that, too, to where he was about to break Rosario. He was one shot away because Rosario's defense was broken down. The pace of it was stepping up. He was trying to, find his way in, but he's got his back on the ropes. His head is straight in the air. He's swinging wildly or just, too far and too wide. And I'm like, man, if J-Rock can get in between there, there's the shot. But, man, he threw a wide left hook. But J-Rock was so hungry, and he's only looking at the target. He's not even thinking about anything coming back. And bang! As soon as he gets hit, the wobble came immediately. I'm like, oh, wow, he's gone. And I knew he wasn't going to recover. He was in bad shape. And it was a lot. I looked at the clock. I'm like, oh, wow, he's not going to make it. I was like, there's no way he's going to make this. This is done. So.
Yeah, it was like 2 minutes left. 2 minutes left.
Yeah,
like,
I looked at it, I said, no, he's done. He's not getting out of this. And sure enough, Rosario, once he hit him with the uppercut, and I felt the referee gave him every opportunity to, he didn't want to stop that fight. This is not what PBC wanted. They did not want to have J-Rock. They'd rather have him lose to Charlo than lose to Rosario.
Yeah, definitely.
So now when this happens, you got everybody's in the ring. Once he got knocked down and he was taking a while to get up, I know he was taking the time to clear his head, but even when he tried to get up, it was different. And I said, oh, wow. Yeah, he might just have to sit this one out. That's what I'm saying to myself. Like, this isn't good for him. This is a fight he should probably just take a seat because he's not going to make it. So as the fight progressed and kept building on, from that point when he got up, it was only a matter of time. The referee was one big punch from stopping it. So, and the Rebels kept him up, so he could have ruled that a knockdown and gave him a count. But at that point, why let him get hurt any more than it is? He's not going to win that fight. There's no way I see him even recovering to get to a point to, make that a battle.
Right. He would have already maybe minorly recovered when he was on the ground like that. Like, we could say, oh, take a knee, but he basically, in a sense, took a knee because he was on the ground for a while, and he didn't, like you said, he didn't look any better getting up, and he didn't complain about it. Anytime a guy doesn't complain about it, he knows it's a good stoppage.
Absolutely. And that's why I had to, question some of the decisions that were made in the process. I'm like, why would anybody be, so upset about the stoppage? J-Rock's not really upset about it. I mean, at first he was like, really? It's like, yeah, really, dude, because your legs are not there. Your body's not responding. So even though you might think, man, my mind is right, your body's not responding right. So if your body's not responding right, they did the right thing. They got to call it. The last thing they need is someone getting hurt on a major level on a Fox platform.
True, yeah, national televised. We don't need that.
Right, that's more dangerous to them than anything in this world. So naturally, that's what they want to do. Now, the result is the rematch. Should he take the rematch? Absolutely. If you're a champion and you feel like, I felt like he could contend with Rosario. I mean, I felt like he could have beat him. And that he was on pace to beat Rosario. I think he just rushed it a little bit. Yeah. If he had just paced himself, Rosario would have tied. And the pressure was too much. But in the first 5 rounds, I felt like the pressure of being at home, running press, and you're in there with a fighter who's a dog. This guy is tough. He's got power in his hands. But if you're not somebody who knows how to sustain and be there for the later rounds, you're giving this guy too much of an opportunity. His fighting style allows for that. When he fought Ishe Smith, that was a fight he should have really blown Ishe out. But his fight style makes for the barroom type of fight. It's more in close, my will versus your will type of fight. So if you watch a J-Rock fight, you're going to get some entertainment out of it because he's definitely going to fight. Now, this doesn't pay off well for him in the long run because, you're in too many wars when it's supposed to be like an easy night, a showcase night for you. So a night that was supposed to be a showcase fight to build you up for the next fight, we got to now do this showcase fight again. So that's the scenario. That everyone is completely stuck in.
This 154-pound division, though, I mean, Hurd, Charlo, Harrison, Lara, Castagna. I mean, they can just keep mixing and matching these dudes.
Well, if they can do that, that's cool. But, I mean, I want to see everyone else involved. I don't want to just see one. It's cool because I got all my guys in here doing this event. Let's make it a PBC thing, and we're just going to keep rotating our guys over. Because if that's the case, Lara and Charlo should have been fought at 54. He's not being trained anymore by Ronnie Shields, so that fight can happen. Jermell Charlo should have fought Lara by now. No way that shouldn't have happened, but it still hasn't happened. And
but they were trying to measure it. So you wanted him to fight Hurd after he lost to Lara? Or, I mean, Lara after he lost to Hurd? Or are you talking about before?
Charlo and Lara.
Right, but Lara and Hurd fought, and Hurd beat him. So you wanted to see Lara fight him after that? Are you talking about like a year before that?
Hurd is moving up to 160. So now, that's what I'm saying. So he's out the conversation of Jermell Charlo.
Hurd's fighting at 54 this Saturday. He said he's not going to. Oh, he said he's not going.
Okay. Well, yeah, if he fought at 54, then that's the weight class he's still sticking at. Then he definitely should have fought Lara. He should have fought a Charlo if he's going to stick at 54. But I guess he needs a tune-up after just coming off a loss. So, if he can.
Well, and he hasn't fought since May. So
Right.
I'll
it's
give him that.
Like new trainer, new system, all this stuff that's going on.
Yeah.
I like the way he explained it in full detail what happened with him and the trainer.
Yeah, I agree.
Because he got all that out the way. He's like, let me break all of this down. And that's weird how when a fighter loses, you see how people turn on him so quick. They don't even get time for the body to get cold. Like they have that one team. When Adrian brought him
great way to put it. That's a great way to put it. Yeah, they're already. Oh, he's Bada. He's afraid of Bada. That's what they went to right away.
Oh yeah, and then when Broner came to the ring with like 40 people, then when he lost to Matana, it was just him and one person taking him to the back. He was by himself. It's just that's how the narrative is now. Everything changes so much when you're on top, and then when people think you're done. People are not checking for you no more, and these are your closest people. This is not like people on the internet. And a lot of things have happened. But I would love to see at 54 all these guys fighting each other. That's cool and dandy, but I don't want you to leave out top-rank fighters. I don't want you to leave out fighters that's from the zone. I don't want you to leave out fighters that's from Golden Boy. We need to fight. If they got the best fighter out there or the fight that's more compelling, make the fight happen.
Yeah, but they don't got that at 54. You don't think Teixeira is in the top with those guys? I don't think Teixeira.
Well, not yet, but we still weren't getting the best fights even when they had the opportunity to make the fight.
At 54? Now 47, 35, I'm right there with you. In 32. I agree with you on that. But not at 54.
And then at 60, well, at 54, they had Canelo there. And everybody said they wanted to fight with Canelo. Oscar De La Hoya made an offer for Jermell Charlo last May to fight Canelo Alvarez in May of last year. And they had a big lucrative deal on the table. Al Heyman turned it down. So, and that was for Golden Boy. Now, they have to explain to the general public, things like Jermell Charlo didn't turn it down. His team did. All like Al Heyman, they turned it down, PBC. So why would they turn down a lucrative contract offer by Golden Boy to fight Canelo Alvarez the last May last year? And they said, well, that was his shot. We gave him his shot, and they turned it down. He could have fought Canelo. But
so Charlo had nothing to do with it? Charlo had nothing to do with it. It's just Al, we know that for a fact, or we just hear an Oscar say?
Well, that's what Oscar De La Hoya has said out of his mouth. So that's a fact.
Yeah, I'm about to actually play I'm about to play it after this, too, the audio. I'm glad that you brought that up.
Oh, yeah. So
because Danny Jacobs got that lucrative deal. I don't know if it's the same deal, but he got a lucrative deal, for that fight. He got 2 more fights beyond that, too, for Jacobs. So Jacobs, the way Oscar tells it, Jacobs basically took the deal over Charlo.
Yeah. Once he didn't take the deal, Jacobs took the deal that was there. But Charlo had the chance to make the fight in May. And I don't understand why he didn't take it when there was more money. Well, we know it was a very lucrative offer, and he hasn't been offered that much money, period. Like, this was the largest he's ever been, offered.
Right.
So,
if it was If it was anywhere close to Jacobs, if it was anywhere close to Jacobs, Jacobs got $10 million to fight Canelo. If it was even at $8 million, he should have taken the fight.
Yeah, I mean, it was very lucrative. That's what they said, a pay-per-view fight, very lucrative fight for Canelo Alvarez.
Well, it wasn't going to be on pay-per-view. It was going to be on the zone.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So it's like, why wouldn't he take that fight? Because he's not getting nowhere near that now. I mean, you're fighting for, what, $2 million? If that?
Even if you are, you're not getting 8 or 10. You know what I mean? That's it doesn't really matter what Charlo's getting. There's no way he's getting 8 or 10.
So they saying, wait, man, why you gonna fight for 8 and 10 million? This Canelo, man, we're gonna put you in there with some lame ducks, and you get those little twos, and those little twos, they gonna add up. Keep getting them little $2 million.
You gonna chip away at it?
Why would he do that? And he can make all that in one fight.
He's just gonna chip away at it. That's all. He chip away at it.
You gotta just keep chipping. And that's the sad part about the game, because that's what PBC was promising to be a change. It was promising to be a change to the system. And I have not seen that change. All I've seen is other people erase their name and put their name in the same place, but the same rules are applying. I'm seeing the same people ducking fights. I'm seeing people avoiding things. And what we're seeing is subpar fighter fight subpar fighter, and they're making it like it's a showcase fight. And I'm like, okay, I see what they're doing. It's not helping the game, but I get what they're doing here. They're saying,
sure.
Oh, this guy is so good because we ballooned his record up. And this guy here, he's awesome too. We ballooned his record up, and they're going to fight this Saturday night. And, I mean, to the naked eye, you got two guys that's fighting, and people believe it. You know, like they actually buy this stuff. And so it works. Because I got friends right next to me be like, yo, man, this fight's going to be off the chain.
Right.
This guy comes to fight, and that guy comes to fight. I'm like, well, they never fought anybody. So we don't really know yet what they can do. So
the more things change, the more they stay the same. It just PBC happens to be in the front right now doing the same thing that everybody's done, basically.
And they were supposed to be changing the game. And now the others are forced because they can't afford to play this game no more. So they got to put the best fighters up against each other. And I've been seeing some very entertaining fights, more entertaining fights basically on Top Rank. And the Zone has maybe just a couple, but
No. The Zone was way better than ESPN this year. Way better than ESPN. The Zone had way more fights than ESPN. I don't think ESPN put up that.
I said I've seen some, like, one of the Top Rank cards was like one of the best I've seen all year. And I was like, wow, this is incredible. I was like, which one it was? And all the fights were like epic. I was like, now this is a card.
Right, but the whole year they gave you the better.
I had to go back and check it. But yeah, Top Rank had some good cards this year. I got to give them their props. They had some
but not
solid,
compared to the Zone. Not compared to the Zone.
The Zone has some good fights too, but
I'm sorry.
I think their smaller fights were bigger than their main, like their showcase fight, like the This Is It fight, like the last Canelo fight, making us wait 2 hours while they go and wait on the UFC fight to be over. You know, they had some bugs in the system. You know, and I think they got this Ryan thing going on again with his YouTube fight. They got this stuff happening, you know, and frequently, and now they trying to get Antonio Brown to do a boxing match. Yeah. And I'm like, it's turned into a circus over there. But they have some interesting bouts.
I'm just saying, if you look at the top tier fights, the Zone had more of them. I mean, you had Volchtik and Beterbiev. You had Lopez and Comey. You had Campbell and what's-his-toes, Lomachenko. What were the other big fights that Top Rank made?
Yeah, I ain't said he had the biggest fights. I said they had some better cards. Like from the smaller fights on,
like top to bottom.
The fight was good.
I got you.
Right.
So speaking of ESPN, Alvarez had a nice little knockout too. Verdejo got back. Anything else you want to talk about recap wise, or do you want to just get to news and stuff? It's totally up to you.
Well, I kind of want to get to the news.
All right. Well, what would you like to talk about, sir?
Oh, well, the news is Mikey Garcia left Al Heyman because he felt they were trying to set him up and using him to bring his Mexican fans in. And they were going to profit off of him, and they were going to get nothing in return. Like just
well, I don't know about nothing. He was getting paid pretty healthy over there, but I don't know about nothing because if you win the fight, you know.
Right, but he wants to.
They put him in with Broner.
Yeah, but Mikey is more businessman than fighter. So when you got a fighter like that, that's not going to really sit well with Al Heyman. Because Mikey is a guy that you really got to negotiate with. This is a guy who set out 2 years to get out of his contract with Top Rank. He sat down. So now, when when they came waiving the money and made insurances with Mikey Garcia, Mikey could leave at any time. But they were promising Mikey and reeled Mikey up. I mean, he had 2 pay-per-view fights. Basically, well, not pay-per-view, one big one, but he fought Adrian Broner. You know, like his first deal there. Then he turns around and fights Errol Spence in the big stadium in Texas. Or wherever they were. He fought him there. I'm like, you was on the big stage, had all this money you made from the pay-per-view. They got your fans and your undefeated record, but you made millions of dollars. But now he wants to get back to that big stage, and he don't want to just jump right in there. They were like, well, let's try to do this Manny Pacquiao bout. And that was getting talked and wanted to do this, and Mikey wanted certain insurances and all of these different things, and that wasn't happening. So they're like, well, what are we going to do here? So Terrence Crawford, they were, Top Rank was offering some money for Mikey Garcia to fight Terrence. They were entertaining everything. Then the Zone came. And the Zone said, forget all of it. All I need from you is to accept this deal that's going to pay him $8 million. So an $8 million deal.
To fight Jesse Vargas.
Yep.
It's a good fight, too.
$8 million to fight, yep. Unbelievable.
And then it's a match deal. So they have a right to match. If someone offers Mikey more, they have a right to match it, too, which is a smart move by Eddie.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Who's going to offer more money than that?
And then who's he going to fight? You know what I mean? Who's he going to fight? It's like, all right, keep making $8 million, but who's he going to fight over at the Zone?
Exactly. So this fight's going to go off without a hit. And then his next fight is like, are you serious? It's going to have to be a Manny Pacquiao fight in order for that not to happen.
Right.
That's crazy.
Or he's going to have to go to 140 or something and fight Prograis or something.
Right. And then you got to look at the other situation. You got to look at Deontay Wilder. There's talks of him leaving Al Heyman. I've been hearing
who's talking that?
Some quiet whispers going around that he's a little unhappy with some things that have been happening. with the development of the camp and how they handle like certain things in this promotion, and even though it's being shared with Top Rank, certain things and allowances that he wanted done hasn't been getting done this time around. And that's because, you know, he's got his own promotional company. And he wants his promotional company to headline certain things that he wants and the things that he want to do. And some of these things are not being met. Well,
I don't know how much more he met. I mean, he got $20 million or something to fight Ortiz when they knew they were going to lose money on the event. I don't know. He gets $10 or $20 million to fight Brazil. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know if I agree with Deontay there.
No, I'm saying some type of, I don't know, I don't think it's financial. It's just some decisions he want to make. And he felt he got all that money because of the fact of what he did. Because he switched, he got away from Lou DiBella. So now he's eating off himself. He's got his own promotional company under his wing, so.
Yeah, but DiBella was just getting a fee up front. He wasn't getting a percentage of Wilder.
Yeah, so I don't know what was going on, but he didn't seem too happy about it when they were talking to him. It could be him being on edge, but they were like, yeah, man, I don't know how this is going to happen, because he seemed very, like, disturbed when, you know, how some of the things that went on, and he was saying that he didn't like how they treated his brother or something like that with his brother. I don't know. But there's something to look into.
Yeah, that's
but I personally don't agree with that. And Oscar De La Hoya even said that Wilder himself made this fight happen, the rematch. That Heyman and them didn't want to make this fight. They were going to try everything to avoid making this rematch for Wilder, and Wilder wanted it.
For splitting the pay-per-view, say with ESPN. They didn't want to make the fight.
They didn't want to make this fight. PBC wasn't going to make it at all. They were going to go around it and fight another fight. And they just agreed on Joshua. And then they'll say, well, we'll deal with Fury down the road after we beat Joshua. Let's focus on that. And he was like, no, I want this fight. And he wanted this fight. And he made, by him wanting this fight, made PBC come to the table to work with Bob Arum. Because they wanted to get this fight done.
This is coming from Oscar?
Yeah.
He doesn't have anything to do with the negotiations, though.
No, he has nothing to do with the negotiations at all, but he is totally pro-Wilder because he's like, I used to manage Wilder. He's like, I know Wilder, and he's like, I think, you know, I'm going to see the American heavyweight win, you know. This is a fighter I used to manage. So he's saying that Wilder is the guy that made this fight happen with Bob Arum because PBC, they don't want to work with anybody else. They want to keep it in-house. He's like, they for.
Yeah, no,
he's like, they was.
That.
Yeah, so he said PBC was for because Wilder has his own promotional company, and he went in there and his team was personally negotiating this fight and this rematch and wanted to get it done with Top Rank. They wanted to get Tyson Fury back in the ring. Wilder felt embarrassed that he had a draw on his record, and he felt, man, I could have got the knockout. I got to get this guy in the ring now so I can knock him out in front of everybody. So then they'll know that I'm the champ. He's like, they got to know. So they think he was one of those people thinking I lost.
Right.
So he wanted to win. So he wanted to fight this guy. Like, no, I want to get this guy. Plus this Andre Ward situation, he took that way out of context.
Right.
And guys like barbershop conversations, keep throwing the gas on the fire. And I'm like, man, why do you keep lighting this thing? It's already been done. Like, Andre Ward apologized for something he didn't really need to apologize for to me. Because what he was saying is that Wilder, he was like, I don't think Deontay Wilder want to go through that again. At least like right now, what he meant is not like he's scared to get in the ring with Tyson Fury. What he was saying from a boxing standpoint, what I knew is that mentally, he had never been in a ring with someone who's as shifty and hard to hit like Tyson Fury. And mentally, you don't want to, you might not want to go through that right away. Again, jump right back in the ring with somebody that's going to give you a headache and give you a thinking match.
It's his toughest style matchup, period.
That's what Andre Ward meant when he said it. It wasn't a shot at Deontay Wilder. It's just saying, man, he's used to a guy coming forward, throwing hands. This guy is shifty. He's throwing feints. He's moving. He's all over the place. He's a nightmare to want to fight. So definitely from a fighter standpoint, they say, I don't know if I want to get back in the ring with a guy like this right now. This was just frustrating getting in the ring with him right now. I just gotta get around it. So you understand those type of situations. And that was me. I understood exactly what Andre Ward said as soon as he tweeted. But somebody who don't know, like social media or people on Twitter, think he's just saying Deontay Wilder was scared. So Wilder took it as that, and then everybody else who, wanted to spearhead it like barbershop conversations, Fred, he just built on the fire and made this a big thing. And then when Andre Ward saw him, and that's when his video went viral, he's like, I knew that was you. I wanted to talk to you. And explain it to you, like, why are you creating this division? So they kept the conversation going, and shouts out to Fred for what he did. That it worked perfectly for him. And as far as building up all that attention for that, but I 100% agree with Deontay Wilder. Doesn't want to get back in the ring with a style like that.
Yeah,
right away.
It's by far his toughest style that he'll ever fight. You know what I mean? For sure.
Exactly. And that's why I'm like, at heavyweight, there is no guys that's that shifty, have that much movement. And that's why
not even Usyk. Not even Usyk. No, you're right. I'm just hearing noise. I don't hear you at all.
Oh, I'm sorry. I said that's why I said. Okay, I said that's why I said Tyson Fury in the first fight. I remember I was sitting in almost like a round table with like all the Chicago boxing elites, and they were all talking about how Wilder was gonna knock him out. It's gonna be a showcase fight, and I'm like, dude, you guys are all wrong. Deontay Wilder has never faced anything like Tyson Fury. Yes, I guarantee you that. And I'm like, I'll guarantee you when he see all these feints and the jab is going to be popping out at different speeds and different angles and different times, he's going to be like, what is going on in here? I'm not landing my big right hand. This is not, and I'm like, the only reason he got that knockdown is because Fury used too much of his legs. Trying to stay away, and he tired himself out. And once he got to the point where he couldn't get under those shots like he was getting clipped on him on like the top of his head. And once that happened, then it's nighty-night. So he knows now that Wilder could put him down. So that's going to open a whole different fight for Fury. Because he knows I can win rounds on Deontay Wilder. Now, Wilder's under this illusion that he won the first 4 rounds of the fight. Now, I don't know what fight he was watching because he was in it. but he said he went back and he watched this fight again, and he's like, I don't even know how you can give this guy any of the first 4 rounds. I'm like, what? I'm like, are you kidding me? I was wondering how they gave you a round. I'm trying to find a round to give him in the first 4.
Maybe the second one. Maybe the second round because he did land that nice left hand late. But yeah, for sure. I mean, You know, you can only give them
Exactly.
that. Even if you had it 8-4, that's still a win for Fury.
Exactly. I'm like, Fury won the fight by a round. I scored the fight from the very jump, and I was like, you could have a swing round, and I see how people can have it a draw. No way, shape, or form do did Deontay Wilder have a winning card in that fight. No way. If you got 3 knockdowns, yeah, you won the fight, basically. If you have them in 3 different rounds. Samuel Peter Klitschko comes up all the time. Like, this is one of the rare opportunities that someone was dropped 3 times in a fight and won the fight. I'm like, yeah, because 2 of the knockdowns was in 1 round, so you only get 1 point instead of the 2 points you would normally get had the knockdowns happen in different rounds. So Samuel Peter knocked down Klitschko 3 times, but he knocked him down twice in 1 round and made it a 10-7 round where he got 1 point, and that's why he lost by 1 point. Because if he got that knockdown in another round, he would have had 2 points, and that would have gave him the victory. Because it's almost impossible to win a fight after you drop somebody 3 times in a fight. In 3 rounds. I mean, I saw in a 4-round fight somebody get dropped, knocked down in the first round, and then they win on all 3 cards. I said, how in the world did that happen? Now, nobody paid attention to it because he was the hometown favorite. Now, he did come back and win like the other 3 rounds. But you cannot tell me that fighter did not lose the first round until he got dropped in the first round. And this is a 4-round fight, and I'm complaining at a house event in, like, Gary, Indiana. I'm sitting there like, is nobody going to talk about this? This man won on all 3 cards. But I laughed like he won all 3 rounds. I'm like, wait a minute, they say he won the first round? I'm like, he got dropped. That's a mistake. Oh, and I'm the only one that's concerned about this 4-round fight. Not even the main event. It was a 4-rounder, and I'm upstairs just livid. Like, wait a minute. I don't care if he's a hometown guy. He got dropped with a great counter shot, and then after the fight, I went and talked to that guy. I'm like, hey, man, look, you won that first round. You dropped him. He's like, hey, man, I'm from St. Louis, man. This is what, hey, we know what it is when we come here. I'm like, gee, they're okay with this? I would be livid right now. I'm more mad at the fighter that got dropped. I mean, at the fighter that put him down. He's like, he got, hey, it is what it is. They gave, it's his hometown. Hey. They paid me the money to come here, so I'm doing what I'm doing to get my money. I'm going back to St. Louis. I'm like, man, it was a great counter shot. It told me something that guy was all hype. So that's all I have for today.
All right.
That's all the news that ran into me.
Well, I appreciate you. We'll definitely keep an eye on that Wilder, stuff development.
Yeah,
after.
I was shocked to hear that.
I think maybe in the post-fight, I can see in the post-fight interviews at the press conference, maybe we'll get a little bit more drawn out of it potentially. We'll see. I appreciate you calling in, though.
Yeah, we could. Yeah, no problem, man. And definitely go check that Oscar interview out, man. When he's talking about they offered Charlo that lucrative deal, man. I'm gonna play the audio. I'm gonna play the audio in a little bit. Oh, okay, cool.
All right, man. You take it easy.
All right. Thanks for having me on.
Enjoy the fight this week, man. You take it easy. Peace.
You too. Peace.
All righty. So, like I said, I already previewed the fights because, it's not like there's some kind of crazy fights. And this is what, I'm going to play that audio in a second. I do want to cover a couple things before we get into that. I want to talk about, Eddie Hearn and Golden Boy, Oscar, this year and last year, I guess you could say, talking about Charlo as far as offering him fights. We'll get into that. We'll also get into the interesting point of Well, I wonder what the money was, because if Eddie is saying here's $7 million to fight Andrade, then obviously the Canelo fight would have to be worth a lot more, right? I mean, the Canelo fight would have to be worth at least $10 million to Charlo, because that's what Danny Jacobs got, and Charlo and Jacobs are right in the same realm as far as popularity. But we'll get to that in a second. Like I said, I got some audio on that. Wilder and Fury this Saturday during the afternoon on Fox are going to have a press conference. Something to think about. Andy Ruiz actually he posted an Instagram video of him sweating and not just eating cheeseburgers. You know how you get the meat sweat? It's not like he was eating a bunch of steak and started getting the meat sweats. He was actually working out. So supposedly Andy Ruiz is back in training. He definitely needs to stay in training for a while. It's kind of funny. Today he released a Instagram video with the Fat Boys in the background. Fat Boys, Fat Boys, that song. I remember me in elementary school, in gym class, everybody throughout the year got to put in a song for when you're kind of warming up, running around in a circle, a big circle in the gym. This is literally like, I don't even know. It was elementary school when I was really, really young. But me and my buddy just loved the Fat Boys back in the day. Run DMC, Beastie Boys, that type of thing when we were really, really young. That stuff hit our ears early before the Rockems and the Slick Ricks and all that, Public Enemy and, that type of thing. But when I hear that Fat Boys, it's like, oh, that's gym class, second grade or whatever. Anyway, talks were swirling that Pac and Spence were in talks to get a fight. I still don't necessarily believe that would be next. I still think it's going to be Spence and Danny Garcia. I think, in Manny, I think a lot of people were on that Manny Pacquiao, tweeting the Crawford Spence stuff. I think people were like, oh, okay, well then he must want it. It's like, well, not necessarily. It doesn't. That's just tweeting, dude. Let's see what happens here. And actually, he Knucklehead Sean at Knucklehead Sean Gibbons, I believe is the guy's name, right? The manager to Pacquiao. He, according to Lance Pugmire, Manny prefers to aim to return to the boxing ring in April. I don't know if it's April or May, and he would welcome Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor as his next opponents. So yeah, I'm still thinking it's Spence Garcia, and I can't blame Manny for wanting a bigger paycheck. Like if he fights Mayweather or McGregor, that's like $50 million minimum. You know what I mean? He ain't getting $50 million to fight Spence. A couple other fights. There was a strong rumor, which I believe to be true. It was put on BoxingScene.com and also local here. It's going around. We know it's April 11th. We know it's Fox. We know that's going to be the Minneapolis Armory. They have 4 Fox cards. It was 3 Fox cards and an FS1 a couple months ago, but now the new information I've gotten locally is it's 4 Fox cards. And also that Cuban prospect, what is it, Morale or whatever, Jr., he's going to be on the card. I think he'll open the card. But anyway, Jamal James versus Tomas Delorme, which if you look at like a mid-level fight, I don't care what the WBA special is or anything like that. That's just a good fight. I talked to Jamal. He said right now we can't talk about it, obviously, because it's not officially announced. But I think that fight's going to happen. James and Delorme, sign me up. Their last loss both came against Ugas. And Delorme had a good fight with Jesse Vargas not long ago. And pretty good fight. Clear win, though, for Jamal James this summer, against DeMarco. But he the year before, was it, with Ramos, who's got an opportunity to come up in February. That was a damn good fight. That could have went either way. So I like that fight a lot. Hopefully it happens. I believe it's going to. What else are we talking about here? Oh, Bob Arum talked about We don't know the date. We don't know the venue, but he confirms that Oscar Valdez and Miguel Berchelt, will happen. So they're in agreement enough with the money, I guess, because that's usually what that means. We can confirm it's going to happen, but we just don't know yet, like where. So that's freaking dope. Undercard, we talked about this last week. The Fox card for Klosnowski. Well, Efe Ajaba is going to fight on the co-feature. It has yet to be announced. It'll be interesting to see coming off that fairly difficult fight where he got dropped. But Frank Sanchez, the Cuban heavyweight prospect, I think what is he? Is he 14 now? I can't remember now. He's going against Joey Devacchio. A lot of people want to pronounce that W and all that, but I think it's a V. I think it's just a V right there. Devacchio. I don't know. He just changed it not long ago. Or not changed it, but he's now trying to say, hey, the pronunciation is different. But Joey, the guy from Philly, the dude who recently people were saying he was in the camp with AJ, he's the one who gave him the black eye supposedly and knocked him out supposedly, that type of thing, whatever. But Joey and Frank Sanchez, I like that fight a lot. I think that's a good step up for Sanchez. So hopefully they gave Effa a decent opponent. Then it's like the night of the heavyweights. Carcino was talking about this. DAZN is looking to make Logan Paul and Antonio Brown AB. Not that AB. Although Adrian Broner was looking for his Cash App, $10 Cash App today. If he needs money, he should just go to DAZN, fight Logan Paul. Antonio Brown versus I think they said April. Logan Paul is popular. Just was in a fight, right? And then his brother's fighting, right? And then Antonio Brown has been in the news the last year a ton. In the last couple of months, a ton. During football season alone, in these last couple of weeks, it's been all for all the wrong reasons. But you know what they say, any press is good press. You know what I mean? So I actually do think if you're going to do these type of fights, this is actually very smart. I think there's just that random sports fan that knows right now. It's kind of scary in a sense if he was fighting. Well, it'd be scary if he was fighting a real fighter. But if he was fighting, a real a professional that's been at it. The reason why I say that is because I think there may be something wrong with Antonio Brown. He's really showing some signs of CTE. It just doesn't look good for him. So, but even with that said, it's still dangerous to keep getting hit in the head if you have CTE. So, anyway, but I understand how that would make sense for them anyway. Another heavyweight fight. This one's on the Wilder Fury rematch. Navarrete is returning in what looks like a stay busy fight. He's going to be on that card. Charles Martin and Gerald Washington. Sign me up for that brawl. I'm down for that. I think that is like a title eliminator or like it puts you in range. It doesn't put you right in range because the IBF, they're not going to, they have Pulev. They're not going to call like 3 months later another Mando, you know what I mean? But it will put you in range or whatever. But Charles Martin versus Washington. Washington was down on the cards, I think 2 out of 3 against Salinas, but he scored a huge knockout. Whereas Charles Martin actually, he actually fought Klosnowski really well. I thought that was like a 6-4 fight, something like that. It's a good fight. So I like that fight. That's a good heavyweight fight. This hasn't been mentioned a whole lot, but Best Putin, Ugas and Best Putin were supposed to meet here. They were trying to actually maybe put it for April, either on a top-ranked card for ESPN or a PBC. We had some, we heard some rumors they were trying to put it on the undercard for Wilder Fury. But Best Putin at the time, 2 things now, but Best Putin had gotten a cut. So that's why Ugas, the WB, is it the WBA or is it the IBF? I can't remember. They basically said, hey, dude, you don't have to wait for Best Putin to heal. You can get a fight in quick. So that's why he's fighting Dallas. Mike Dallas Jr. on FS1 in like 2 weeks. Otherwise, he was lined up to fight Best Putin. But Best Putin, he had a cut on his eye from his November fight. I think it was in, is that in Morocco? Anyway, this isn't his cut. This is actually a failed test. He failed a drug test having to do with his last fight. And he asked for the B sample. And I guarantee we're going to get the B sample much quicker than what we got for Dillian White in the UCAD style of B samples. But we'll see. I mean, most of the time the B sample says the same thing. But we'll see. You know, Best Putin is saying that he's going to fight it. Okay, maybe. You know, we've heard other people that fought it and got off. But we'll see. We'll see. But either way, Ugas, my guess is he's going to have to look for another opponent. My guess is that he should still be in line. If he was going to get a title shot or an eliminator title shot, or was it an interim title shot? I don't know which one it was, but he should fight somebody else now. If Best Putin gets popped, he should be out, and, you know, Ugas should get a fight this summer. So we'll see how that goes. But Best Putin he did call for the B sample, so we'll let that happen. We'll let that B sample happen. That's mostly the news. Oh, Ryan Garcia had a public workout for his fight coming up on Valentine's Day. He's got a lot of female fans. Take the dates to the Ryan Garcia fight. So he's got against Fonseca, but he's talking about after Linares, because, you know, they're setting up the Linares fight. Linares is fighting on this undercard. So it's going to be this guy. Then Garcia said, I want Linares. He talked about some other folks, but then he said, at the end of the year, I want Gervonta Davis. We'll see if that actually could happen. I don't really know. He also talks about he wants to be a pay-per-view star, but, you know, how are you going to be a pay-per-view star when you're on an anti-pay-per-view outlet? I suppose you could still make the argument it's pay-per-view, but just way cheaper, you know. I don't know. But, hey, man, that's great. If that's how it goes, that'd be great. I'm not holding, you know, my breath on that one. I want to breathe for the whole year. Oh, yeah, then we'll get to Charlo, the double Charlo, because we have Eddie Hearn and we have Oscar De La Hoya. So some of the rumors we're talking about, is it Callum Smith for Canelo? Is it going to be Billy Joe Saunders? We heard Billy Joe Saunders there was a report out there, and we don't know who put it out. It could have been the Canelo fight. It could have been Golden Boy camp. It could have been whatever. You know, let's say they were in negotiations with somebody and that wasn't going well. So they could put out, hey, Billy Joe Saunders, we're going to target him now. Screw these negotiations. Whoever that may be, I don't know. We do know that landing fighters for Canelo right now has been a little difficult. A lot of Oscar wants to blame these fighters just not, you know, caring about the glory of the sport. He gave an example, but it's funny in the audio you'll hear he says, well, I was the A side. So he never really had to go through that, but it was kind of funny. I hear what he's saying, but the problem is, and I mentioned this a while ago, and I'm not the only one that mentioned it, but it's now come true. Like when you set the mark of Danny Jacobs making $10 million, of Kovalev making somewhere around that, that's the benchmark. So if you're going to pay Danny Jacobs that, then you have to pay Charlo that if you want him to get signed. Now we don't know what the agreement or what the deal was. Was it a 3 or 4 fight deal? You know, with Canelo, if it's a 3-fight deal with Canelo, you should take that. You know, it's Canelo. I could see not taking it for Andre, because you get over there, you fight Andre, then maybe you're never going to get Canelo or Golovkin. That's what happened to Andre when he's been over there. But just breaking this down, there's 2 offers that supposedly are out there. Now, it's not Oscar said anyway. And obviously this is Oscar talking, so it's only one side of the story. We don't really know exactly. But Oscar said he made it sound like they actually are not currently negotiation with Charlo, and that he said the boat has sailed. That ship has sailed. So he said last year they made him an offer. And they said a deal. So it makes me sound like, a deal, like a 3-fight deal or something like that, kind of what Jacobs got. Sounds like Jacobs got a 3-fight deal for $15 million, $10 million guaranteed, and then $2.5. I don't know if that's exact numbers, but that's been what's floated. It's been floated out there by numerous sources. So we'll just go in that range, whatever. But here's the thing. So I'm going to play some audio of Oscar and let him talk. And he's saying, he's having a problem. But that's the thing. I remember we talked about this last year with Derevyanchenko. And they were actually going to pay Canelo a little less just because of the purse bid. So the purse bid would match more of what they're offering Derevyanchenko. At the first point of this stuff, some of the media jumped on and saying, what the hell is Derevyanchenko doing? It's nonsense. He should take the fight. He's not worth that kind of money. And on the surface, I get it. But when you're the mandatory, if you can't come to terms, you go to purse bid. So we know the purse. We know Canelo's purse. It's $35 million. So once you go to purse bid, the mandatory gets a certain percentage of what people pay for the fight. So getting $5 million is not crazy in that situation, is it? Because that's what he's going to get if it goes to purse bid. See what I'm saying? So as much as people didn't think Derevyanchenko had leverage, he had a ton of leverage, unless he wants to drop the belt. But he still had leverage because that's what happened. The IBF, we know they don't play when they say they're going to strip you, and they stripped Canelo. But Golovkin was like, well, wait a second, my next fight's supposed to be a title fight or Canelo. So they made that fight. And as it turned out, Derevyanchenko got around the same thing he was asking for. But it's because of where the money is set and also because of these mandatories. That's also why the WBC said, fuck the mandatory. We're not going to make Charlo the Mando because then he can do the same fucking thing. Except he's got, it's the same thing. Except he's worth more, you could say, than Derevyanchenko, right? So they're going to have a whole lot of problems when you set the price that high. And the media is caught up to that point, and they're going to have problems. And Oscar said he's having problems. Now, he talked about Charlo, but he said he's having problems. These fighters just don't want to take the Canelo fight, take the upfront money, beat Charlo, then beat Canelo, then become the star. But we know that doesn't always work in that exact order, if we're being honest. But here's a clip. I'll stop talking. I'll let Oscar talk. Here's a clip of him. It's from Fight Hype, but it was a variety of folks.
We know that Canelo was out an opponent officially for Cinco de Mayo, and just wondering, what's the chances of a fight with Andrade or a fight with Charlo, or even Charlo being made? Is that a realistic possibility, or is that something that maybe is down the line but not in the future?
No, look, unfortunately, we're still 4 months away, so we have a lot of time, and I'm leaving to Mexico actually right now to go sit down with Canelo and his team and map out the Cinco de Mayo. But we offered Charlo pretty lucrative deal to fight Canelo last year, and I don't know who turned it down. I'm pretty sure it wasn't Charlo, but I don't know who did. But that train already left. And it's unfortunate. But Canelo has many fighters to fight, from 160 to 75. We'll decide in the next couple of days.
Do you think since Canelo is the number one pound for pound and he's a star of boxing, people basically want a bigger purse, and because they want a bigger purse, it's kind of sometimes like, okay, I don't want to say don't deserve it, but they don't usually make that much anyway.
No, I think, look, when you're gonna fight Canelo, you deserve more than what you've been normally making. But when you price yourself out, it's really because you don't want to fight him. That's the bottom line. When I was a fighter, it's like, I was always the A side, but when fighters would want to fight me, it's because you fight me because you want to beat me. You're making all the money already. You're making big money, but it's you want to beat me. So, and we're not seeing that today. Like we're seeing these fighters like pricing themselves out, and it's ridiculous. Like fight for the glory, and then the money will come, you know. So a lot of fighters are pricing themselves out too fast, and then the train leaves, and then you.
And I understand what he's saying, and on the surface it makes sense. But remember, they set the price. So you could talk about glory, you could talk about all this stuff, but the bottom line is you gave Danny Jacobs $10 million. So he didn't say in other interviews around that time, he said, I don't want to get into specifics. So we don't know. We don't know what he offered. Did he offer him 4? Did he offer him 8? Did he offer him 10? We have no clue. But all I know is, I'll say this. I don't know what it is. But if it was the same thing that Jacobs got, around $10 million, and then it's a 3-fight deal, probably an option at the end of that, but a 3-fight deal, he gets 2 more 2.5. So for 3 fights, Canelo being the first fight, you get $15 million. If that's basically what the deal was, Charlo definitely should have picked that. I understand, the Andre thing. If you're going to fight and have to sign a multiple fights to fight Andre, you get over there, let's say you beat Andre, then what? Well, then if you can't get Canelo or Golovkin, then it doesn't really line up because that's what's happening to Andre over there. He signed with DAZN. He's not getting, at this moment anyway, he's not getting Canelo, and he's not getting Golovkin. Eddie Hearn has said that much. Now, maybe Canelo will come around, and he'll say, you know what? Maybe Andre will take $4 million. You know what I mean? And kudos to him if he does. That'd be huge for Andre. I hope he gets that fight. But, yeah, that's my thought. If it was the same or basically the same deal, Charlo should take the deal. We don't know what it is, though. And here's the only thing about this stuff. When you're talking about Eddie Hearn has an offer out there that he says, I offered right around $7 million to Charlo for a one-off. He gave an option, a one-off or a couple fights, whatever you want to do. And, Eddie Hearn said this on Sirius Radio. Chris Mannix said it as well. He said in the neighborhood of $7 million. He delivered it right to Charlo. It's a one-off, or if he has, options, like I said. Here's the deal, though. First of all, if he's offering him around $7 million, you better hope that the Canelo is more than $7 million. You see what I'm saying? So if Eddie, there's 2 people from DAZN that are offering, Oscar and Eddie. So if Eddie's sending $7 million, around $7 million for Andre, I'd hope and believe that it's more than $7 million to fight Canelo, because then you're just kind of fucking yourself. If you send 7 to fight, let's say they say about $6 million, $7 million to fight Canelo. If that's the case, then he's looking at, I can get $7 million to fight Andre. So there is DAZN. That's the only thing about DAZN in negotiating this stuff. You have Eddie and his promotional company, and then also Sky Sports stuff, and then you have Oscar and Canelo and his promotional company. So, like I said, we don't know the details, so I'm not going to act like I know them. But I'm also not going to act like Oscar's word is gold, because he's been saying we're not going to sit there and pay the moon. And even one of the high up dudes said that the money's coming down this year for opponents. But like I said, if they're trying to give him a little bit more than what Derevchenko got or what was going to get for Canelo, and it's 5 or 6 or 7, then there's no way Charlo's going to take that. Because if you're getting 7 to fight Andre, you see what I'm saying? It's kind of like back in the day when the last thing that Top Rank tried to do is have, you could fight Margarito for 10, but then you fight Cotto for 8. Well, wait a second. Cotto's worth more. Why would I get less for him, or even the same money? I'm just putting out scenarios. I've already said that Charlo, if the same deal Jacobs got, if he got that deal, he should take the deal. But we don't know that to be a fact. So, but here's the thing about Eddie, though. He said, because Tim Smith was on the PBC podcast, he said, well, I don't know who he's sending the offers to. Then Eddie came out and said, I have the proof on my phone. I've been sending him basically on Instagram. I've been DMing him. And remember, Eddie is the guy that said, you don't make fights on Instagram, you make them in the boardroom. So, and I wasn't asking questions. I only heard snippets of the Sirius. I don't have Sirius Radio. I literally asked people and got some information, even on Twitter. I asked some more people behind the scenes too before the show, just to get some clearance, see if I can get any kind of more evidence or whatever. But once again though, don't make it a press run. If you're only sending DMs through Instagram and you're not sending them to Al or Luis de Cuba Jr., a middleman to Al, and Eddie Hearn has spoken on, I've gotten with Al, but normally I go through de Cuba's, and that's my middleman. I send him that, and they've worked with Andy Ruiz. They've worked with a variety of fighters over the time. So him and de Cuba's are on the same page. So if he's only sending them to Charlo on Instagram, that's a press run. That looks like a press run to make your fighter seem better. Now, if he's sending him to de Cuba's and letting Charlo know, that's a different story. We're going to find out a little bit more about this. I'm going to go ahead and let 503 Portland get us out of here. I'm going to let him close this one down. We don't have much time in the show. Let me make sure he didn't just text me, though. All right. So I'm going to go ahead out to Portland. 503, what's going on, man? How the hell are you, buddy?
Damn it. What up, dude? what up, Chris? I was trying to do the anthem, but I fucked up a little bit. Yo, I'm doing good, bro. You know how it is, man. But how you doing, Chris?
I'm doing great, man. I'm still kind of buzzing up that Rosario, dude.
Yeah, man, that shit was cool as fuck, man. And I got to give the big shout out, like you said, to the Dominicans, man. They got one now, and you're friends with Ness too, right? From the Boxing Voice, and I got to hear that episode. Real quick, I just want to say, his excitement. Yeah. So, you know what I mean? Playing the Dominican music, it's dope, bro. You know what I mean? And because I've been listening to your show and the Boxing Voice for a while now. So but as far as Rosario, man, I think he did good work pretty much from the beginning. I think he used his size. When they're in the inside, I thought Rosario was doing the best. Damn, it sucks for what's his name, J-Rock, Julian Williams. He put up a good fight. You can't hate him. He put the belt up on the line, and he lost him pretty quick. So kind of sucks that even though there's an immediate rematch, that's pretty cool. Let's see if J-Rock exercises it because man, when the referee stopped it, man, he was kind of like you were saying, he was looking at the corner like whoa, but I was thinking like man, he wasn't complaining about the stoppage, and I think his brain was rattled, and so I think it was definitely a good stoppage, and but as far as J-Rock, let's see the rematch happen. Sucks that Hurd never got his rematch with J-Rock. That maybe that fight could still happen in the future. But it'll be most likely it'll be more like for Hurd to get his revenge or get his win back, avenge a loss or whatever, but without the belts. Just because I don't see Rosario losing. If the rematch does happen, I don't see him losing to J-Rock again, just because I just saw that fight. I saw everything I needed to see. I just don't see the chin holding up against him again, but I could be wrong. You know what I mean? I could be wrong. So, but as far as that, I'd like to see that. And also too, Chris, what do we got? We got this weekend too. We got the two Swifts, right? The Danny Swift and and Hurd Swift, right? That's this weekend.
Yep. They're taking on Santana and Redkach, guys that love the brawl.
Yeah, man, this is gonna be dope, man. And for Hurd, it's a good stylistic match for him, just because if he is if his opponent is coming forward, I don't know too much of Santana. I got to see him to remember him, in all honesty. But if you're saying he's going to come forward, the stylistically he's going to be pretty good for Hurd, and he could possibly get a knockout. So, because Hurd's like one of those people that come forward too. And but we'll see what kind of changes he's made in camp and in his fighting style too. Just because he probably knows at this point he probably shouldn't go in there, coming forward like that, like he did with J-Rock and Lara and shit. Like he does pay a lot of damage every time he does that. So we'll see how good good his comeback is. But I got Hurd in that one. And also too, man, if I don't ask a lot from the boxing gods, man.
Just so you know, not much time.
I don't ask a lot much for the boxing gods. So please.